time for Radio Mystery Theater.
The CBS Radio Mystery Theater presents... Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Today, the door to Mystery Theater opens on a tomb of the past that has been sealed for 3,000 years. A life of splendor and misery undreamt of today. The pharaohs and their queens drinking from jewel-encrusted golden cups, while the poor warm themselves at camel-dung fires. A life of contrasts, of mile-wide temples along the Nile, of jackals digging at graves in the desert, of love and treachery, of an extraordinary people, the ancient Egyptians.
Mother, I know it's been arranged for me to marry Nefertiti, but why can't I wait for 1 year before I take a wife?
Because it has been arranged. You will be crowned Pharaoh and marry the same day.
Nefertiti frightens me. She hates me. She despises me. Mother, she won't make a good queen.
Oh, yes, she will. She'll make a Pharaoh of you.
Our drama, The Vulture Screams, based on fact and the findings of archaeologists, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by G. Frederick Lewis and stars Tammy Grimes. I'll be back shortly with Act One. It fascinates me that here we are today, 1 foot on Earth and the other on the moon, in Mars or Venus. Satellites spin off in orbit. Space shuttles are poised for takeoff to far-off planets. And yet, what truly captures our imagination and interest these days? Life in Egypt, thousands of years before Christ. So let me step aside and yield the microphone to the most beautiful woman who ever lived. Her name, Nefertiti. A name, by the way, that actually means, behold, the beautiful woman.
It was a day I'll never forget. I was 19. My father, the Prime Minister, was at the bedside of the great Pharaoh himself, Amenhotep. He was dying. Ironical in a way, because just the day before, I had been told of the great honor I was to receive. I was to be married to the Pharaoh's son, Akhenaten. Not my choice for a husband, really. But in a few hours, he'd be the king. And I ask anyone, who in their right mind would turn down a chance to marry a king? Let alone the king of the greatest land in the universe, Egypt.
Wife, queen, I am dying. Bring the gods closer where I can see them from my bed.
It shall be done, my Pharaoh. Priest, light the tapers and bring your masks, signifying our gods, closer to His Majesty's bedside. You first, Horus, with the falcon face. Then you, Sekhmet, part woman, part lion.
I cannot see them. Light more tapers.
They are here, husband, all around your bed.
Where is my Prime Minister?
Here, O Pharaoh.
My time has come. Where is Akhenaten, my son?
I will fetch him. He is in his chambers.
Wife, let us begin the ritual, the last words. I smile at death.
I smile at death.
Death is in my mind today, like the fragrance of myrrh, like seated in shelter on a windy day.
Like seated in shelter on a windy day.
Death is in my mind today, like the longing of a man for his home when he has passed long years in captivity.
Father! Father, dearest Pharaoh, do not leave us.
My son, the minutes leave me. Wife, Queen Tai.
Yes, husband.
Bring the masked gods nearer. Have them bend over me. I must touch them. Sobek the crocodile. Thoth the baboon.
Father, don't, please. Those animals, they frighten me.
Frighten? Masks of our divinities. Be not afraid. I am joining them.
Animals and snakes, monkeys, dogs, and hawks. I cannot look at them. Please, Father, let me go.
My son, these are our gods who will conduct your father to the other world.
I can't look. They're horrible.
Son, you will inherit the kingdom of Egypt before the hour is spent. Turn your head up. Look at them.
Foolish boy. They are but masks.
I want to see no weakness, Akhenaten, no cowardice.
I take him away. Our son has disgraced himself. My dear Prime Minister, these last 6 hours since the Pharaoh died have been the longest in my life. No one must know what really happened at the Pharaoh's deathbed. Least of all your daughter Nefertiti. I am so ashamed.
No one shall, my queen.
I pray my dearest husband was spared that sight. Horrible. His trembling, quaking son.
The Pharaoh's eyes and ears were already closed. Now your son, Akhenaten, will step into the royal shoes.
It grieves me. I ask myself, is my son ready for the throne? Akhenaten is weak at a time when the two lands of Egypt need strength.
You speak as if Thebes were surrounded by enemies.
Oh, they're vassal states now. But if the heart of Egypt falters, you will see how quickly the arms and legs will not obey. I see revolt everywhere. What is this sickness in my son's head? To turn away from animals and birds, to weep like a woman.
He is but 19. As he grows, my queen, he will find his path. He will find strength in Nefertiti.
I hope so. I pray so. Yes, your daughter Nefertiti will bring energy and endurance. The sooner your daughter and my son are united, the sooner may Egypt inherit an heir.
Not may inherit, but shall. No time will be wasted. The coronation of your son Akhenaten and his wedding to Nefertiti will be on the same day.
Oh, what are you doing to me, Mariani? That hurt.
Nefertiti, I am sorry, but it's your own fault. How can you expect me to paint your toenails if you keep wiggling about like a captured lizard? Now, hold still.
Isn't it a beautiful day? Sitting out here on my terrace, overlooking Thebes and the River Nile. I think I'd rather be me than anyone else in Egypt. Now tell me about yesterday, and how you know who behaved.
The king was saying the last word of the ritual. It goes, death is as when a man grasps suddenly what he has not understood.
That is so clear to me, that just before death, you suddenly understand everything. And then, is that when it happened?
Yes, I think so. According to one of the mourners.
Is it really true Prince Akhenaten fell into a fit and frothed at the mouth?
Well, I didn't see it myself.
Akhenaten is such a baby. He always was. Even when we were children playing together.
Nefertiti, I speak to you as a sister. Don't believe everything you hear.
You don't think Akhenaten became hysterical and had to be led away from the bed of death?
He could have, but no one knows. It's only gossip.
Oh.
There, the toenails are done. How do they look? Oh, Nefertiti, you don't even care.
I wish I knew Akhenaten better. I've seen so little of him in the last few years. Do you think it's possible, Mariani, for people to change?
Yes, I do, Nefertiti. It's the world outside that won't let you change. But I must believe you can change yourself, if you will.
Do you think Akhenaten has strength where maybe it doesn't show? Is that possible, Mariani?
Of course it is. For me, when I marry, I'd rather find someone who has strength that does show.
When you marry, I hope you will have a choice.
Akhenaten. Akhenaten, it's time to be up. The peacocks are already sunning themselves in the courtyard. Are you asleep?
No, Mother.
Then why didn't you answer me?
I was hoping you'd go away.
Last night, I was discussing you with the Prime Minister.
Oh, not now, Mother. Can't it wait for another time? I feel so wretched.
Son, stop that. We all feel sad. The world is emptier today without your father.
You're not ashamed of me?
Oh, my darling boy. I hope that when you're married and wear the robes of the Pharaoh, these childish fears will disappear.
I would that they could.
Look at it sensibly. Why do we make these creatures our gods? They have qualities we humans do not. The falcon can fly. No mortal is as strong as a lion or as swift as a jaguar. These are not to be feared, but worshipped.
When is the coronation?
Very soon.
You spoke of marriage to Nefertiti.
Yes, it is arranged.
Could I be Pharaoh for 1 year before I take a wife?
No, son.
But my father was king without a queen for 10 years.
He was at war. He needed only soldiers. You need a wife.
Nefertiti frightens me. She won't make a good queen.
Oh, yes, she will. She'll make a Pharaoh of you.
Mother, she hates me. She despises me. When we were little, she always made fun of me. What do we have in common?
The throne of Egypt. You must not be afraid of her. You must fear nothing. To be an Egyptian in these times is the highest form of man. We and our gods control everything, here and in the hereafter. There is nothing to fear.
You think so? Poor Mother. I'm afraid. Because I know how little I know. I'm ignorant. We are all ignorant.
Nefertiti will make all the difference in your life.
I'll do it for Egypt. But I wish you'd chosen me another bride. You don't know her.
She has many wonderful qualities.
Oh, to be sure. She can pierce a target with an arrow at 100 yards. She can run quicker than an antelope. She's crossed the Nile in the water faster than a fish could swim. Oh, yes, Mother. I look forward to taking to bed a huntress, a runner, a wife of muscle, not mine.
Have you ever talked to Nefertiti?
Talked? About what? Could she answer one question of the spirit?
Perhaps her questions are the same as yours. Akhenaten, I want you to get up and get dressed now. Face her with your questions, son, and then pray to Osiris for the answers.
Face Nefertiti? I can hardly face the morning.
Oh, don't be stupid. And don't try my patience. You will marry whom I say, and you will do as I say.
And what if I will not?
Your grandfather refused to go to war. He died. Your uncle mocked his father. He also died, mysteriously. My very own brother disobeyed his father and was found dead.
They all died suddenly?
They were all poisoned. Akhenaten, although you are my only son, if you do not obey and do what is best for Egypt, I would not hesitate to kill you with my own hands.
What was commonplace in a civilization thousands of years ago may seem incredible to us today. Yet, in spite of primitive beliefs, bizarre codes of conduct, marriage within families, some of the world's finest poetry and art was created by the early Egyptians. Evidence of their treasures, their talents, are on view everywhere today. But it was in their games with death that the Egyptians reached their most original glory. More when I return shortly with Act 2. The ancient Egyptians were taught from childhood they were born with a soul, a spirit or ka, which would survive physical death. Indeed, many people believe that today. But an Egyptian could only live in the hereafter if the body was preserved from corruption and the ka provided with food and all the appurtenances of earthly life. Not only jewelry, chariots, furniture, and clothing, but if you were a pharaoh, servants as well.
There's no other way, daughter. All those who have prepared the house of life for the deceased king must be put to death. The excavators, the carpenters, the painters, goldsmiths, all the artisans and workmen, they too must be buried around the tomb.
But that is terrible, Father. Is it so that no one will tell where the Pharaoh is buried? Where the tombs are hidden? So that no one will rob the graves?
Partly, Nefertiti.
It's a waste of time and lives. Grave robbing goes on all the time.
And we know, and we try to stop it. Anyone caught is put to death and strung up as an example.
Death. Too much thinking about death.
You don't understand it all. A pharaoh who dies becomes a god. I suppose when you're queen of Egypt, you'll put a stop to the killing of the pharaoh's 100 servants who are also buried with him.
That's wicked. As if the king and his court would all go to the eternal world together, and his servants wait on him through eternal life. It's wicked.
This is not the conversation I wish to have with my daughter the morning of her wedding.
Where is the queen? She promised to be here and help me to get ready. I have 1,000 things to do. Goodbye, Father. And if you see my husband-to-be, tell him to be sure to be ready on time. Akhenaten is always late. He'll miss his own funeral.
I hope you meant wedding.
Yes, I did. Of course.
If there's anything I loathe, it's having to stand still and be fitted by the court tailor.
Your Highness, please, if you would kindly not move.
No.
The royal robe must fit properly.
I wish you'd hurry. I really am not feeling too well. Tailor, help me to my bed. I must lie down.
I'll never have this robe done in time.
You don't understand. I feel sick. Everything is rising about me.
Your Highness, what is it?
My insides. I think I've been poisoned.
Good morning, my dear Nefertiti. It's the big day.
Oh, Mother, I'm so glad you came. I've got butterflies in my stomach. Are all brides as nervous as I am?
Oh, yes, I was. I brought you some special lotus perfume.
Queen Try, Oh, excuse me, Princess. Forgive me for bursting in on you like this, but I simply had to find the Queen.
What's the matter, Taylor?
The Prince Akhenaten. He's very ill.
I knew it.
I was fitting him for the coronation robe, and he fell over. He says he's been poisoned.
I had better go to him at once. Don't worry, Nefertiti. I'm sure it's some little indisposition.
No, let me go to him by myself, alone, Queen Tai.
What? See your groom in the morning of the wedding? That's evil luck.
But if Akhenaten dies before we are married, that's not such good luck either, is it? Akhenaten, I've come to take care of you. Lie still.
I'm really important to you, am I?
Of course you are. The moment I heard you were ill, I came right over.
This is stupid, isn't it, today of all days? You'll laugh, but I thought you disliked me.
It's not you, Akhenaten. It's weakness I dislike.
Have I always been that way?
Yes, you have. Even when we were younger. Do you remember we used to play with Horemheb?
Horemheb?
The tailor's son. Remember that time the three of us saw an overseer whipping his slaves?
I think so.
They were carrying granite for the Pharaoh's statues, and he kept whipping them. We had a little army. Horemheb was always the general, and we were his soldiers. Remember?
Move! Oh, you ladies, come move, I say! Move!
Look at him, whipping those unfortunates. Army, get your slingshots ready.
I told you,
General
move!
Horemheb.
Are you ready also, Private Akhenaten?
Yes, General.
Now, wait till the overseer gets a little closer, and then take careful aim. Here's a good babble. You first, Private Nefertiti. Are you ready?
Ready, General.
Ready? Aim. Fire.
I'm sorry, General. I missed.
All right, you next, Private Akhenaten. Here's your stone. You ready? Aim. Fire. Well, go on, I said fire.
I can't. I'm afraid.
Oh, what kind of an army is this? It's my turn, then. I'll get him right in the back of the neck.
Oh! You hit the slave driver, General. I'm next.
You hit him in the head. Oh,
Here he comes. Stand your ground.
Three toads! Grasshoppers! Who was it? Who hit me?
You shouldn't whip those men. It's cruel.
2 boys and a girl.
I didn't.
Come forward!
I didn't hit you.
Whipping is not the way to get men to work for you.
I give you one more chance. Who was it?
It was my stone. Both of them.
Ah, a brave little beetle. See how you like this.
You've cut his face. He's bleeding. Hornrab, you're hurt.
Stop! What are you doing, overseer? Give me that whip.
Prime Minister, they attacked me.
Do you know to whom you're raising your hand? This is my daughter, Nefertiti. And the lad behind her is the Pharaoh's son, Akhenaten.
Oh, most royal Prime Minister, I beseech you, I did not know.
Your name?
Zanaza, Your Grace.
Go home and put your house in order. Inform your wife that before nightfall she will be widowed. Leave. You, lad. Who are you?
Hornrab?
Oh, yes, the son of the tailor. The next time I find you near the palace, I shall make you regret it the rest of your life. Go home.
He's bleeding, Father. His face is cut open.
Did you hear me, you dirty boy? Get away from here.
General Hornrab, I kiss away your cut so it will heal. I'll never forget you.
Disgraceful. A daughter of mine kissing the cheek of that young horror?
I don't care. He's very brave. Braver than him.
He is the son of the Pharaoh, and you must respect him.
Is that why? Because he's a prince?
Of royal blood. And I, a prime minister, am only a commoner. And so are you, daughter.
Oh, he makes me sick.
I will not have you growing up a tomboy playing with stones and slingshots and riffraff. Like this Hornrab, the tailor's boy. It is not befitting the future queen.
Do you remember Akhenaten? Do you remember?
Do you think I'm still that afraid? That I haven't changed?
I don't know. What happens to you when there is something you don't want to face? You ever fit when your father is dying? You should be ashamed.
Nefertiti, you have no idea how terrifying those masks of animals are. I couldn't help it.
And today, a few hours before you are to be crowned the Pharaoh of all Egypt, and we had to be married, you turn green, and your servant comes running saying you were poisoned.
I thought I was. My stomach pained so. My arms and legs felt like they were going to drop off.
But poisoned? No one is going to harm you except yourself. You must not let your mind poison you. You have a duty to Egypt, and that is to be brave. Always. Do you understand?
Nefertiti, I think you really do care for me.
You're right. I think I do.
Then I think I shall get up and get married.
Nefertiti, is that you? Yes, I'm back, Queen Mother. He's all right. Only his imagination was poisoned.
Is he ready for the ceremony?
He will be.
Akhenaten is a good boy.
A boy. That's pretty much how I feel about him.
He needs you.
I'll do my best. But you must promise me to be always close at hand until I learn how to be a queen.
It is not difficult. The important thing to remember, child, is that the Pharaoh always comes first. That is foremost.
They really make the first rule the most difficult, don't they? Hello, my precious Mew Mew. Isn't he a beautiful kitten, Mother?
You have no time to play with pets.
Shoo. Now you've made him run away and hide.
We were talking about how to be a queen, Nefertiti. Now stand up. Let's see how the drape falls.
I think I have a long neck. Does the dress hide it?
Perfectly, child. Akhenaten will be very proud of you.
If I can only make him see what I see and feel what I feel.
Ah, Mariani, let me see the covering robe.
Mew Mew, where are you?
This lapis is sewn on sideways. Now, who is responsible for that? Bring me a needle and gold and silver thread.
Mew Mew. Here, Mew Mew.
What are you doing, child? Crawling on the ground. Now stop it and get up. You'll ruin the dress.
Mariani, have you seen my kitten?
I think he ran out the door, madame.
I'll go find him myself.
I believe this is your kitten, Princess.
It is. It is. Thank you, soldier.
You're welcome, Princess.
Don't we know each other?
Yes,
We have met before.
a long time ago.
In the palace?
Outside. In those days, I was not permitted in here.
I remember now. An overseer struck you with a whip.
Oh, yes?
You took the lash for me. You are Horenrath.
I am, Princess.
Horenrath. Are you a general?
Not yet. I am a captain of the guards. Goodbye. Happy omens to you, Queen Nefertiti.
Bye.
I see you found your kitten. Now to sew this lapis lazuli on top it. What is it, Nefertiti? Are you all right? You look as if you'd seen a ghost.
Mother Ty, I think I am growing up.
The worship and the fear of animals is not difficult to understand if you bear in mind that the ancient Egyptians were more than 3,000 years closer to uncivilized man than we are. The hawk in the sky, the cry of the desert jaguar, the roar of the lion were fearsome in those days. Nefertiti, however, was a 21st century woman. How she will reconcile her modern spirit to her own time, we shall see when I return shortly with Act 3. Archaeologists who have searched the length of the Nile tell us that this was a civilization throbbing with life. Hours away is the coronation of the new pharaoh, Akhenaten, and his marriage to Nefertiti. But it is not always those who wear the crown who have the power. In ancient as in modern history, look not at the kings, but the king-makers. And in those days of the 14th century B.C., who wields the power?
You look very well in those robes, Akhenaten. If you'll please stand here at the foot of the throne steps, I will tie these royal chin whiskers to your face.
How often I've seen my father wearing these.
Well, they're a bit stiff because they're made of gold. Yeah, I'll tie them with this strap around the back of your neck. Now, during the ceremony, whatever you do, don't move a muscle. Don't laugh.
Well, why should I laugh?
And don't frown either, my boy. The straps are a bit short, and if you move too much, the chin whiskers may fall off.
Look at you, Akhenaten. Oh, I love those whiskers. Are they heavy?
It's hollow beaten gold.
It certainly makes you talk funny.
Nefertiti, stop tormenting Akhenaten. You know those chin whiskers are part of the ritual.
He looks ridiculous.
Nefertiti, you are too stupid to understand the significance of our heritage.
Now, Your Highness Akhenaten, I hand you this crook and this flail. Cross them against your chest.
With that crook and the funny gold whiskers, you look like a goat pretending to be a shepherd.
Mother!
He's only teasing you, son. Now turn round. You turn round with him, Nefertiti. Isn't she a picture? The gold gauze dress and the lapis lazuli and carnelian at her throat. I'm very proud of your daughter.
That's the warning bell. The procession to the coronation will begin very soon.
I'm not teasing, Queen Ty. Why do we today still have to go through all these primitive rites? We'll talk about that later.
Do we go from the temple of Karnak to the Lotus Shrine for the wedding?
Yes, Your Highness. After the coronation, the wedding, I shall tell the priests we are ready.
There isn't going to be any wedding. I'll be crowned pharaoh, and that is all. No wedding.
Why are you getting so angry?
I am not going to stand here being mocked by this creature. Take her out of my sight. No, look what you've made me do. The chin whiskers have fallen on the floor, probably bent all out of shape.
I'm sorry if I made you so nervous, darling. But now that I look at you, dear husband-to-be, I admit I was wrong.
Oh,
You do look much better with your face hidden behind that golden bush.
get her out of here. The marriage is off. Off!
Of course, the marriage wasn't off. It went without a hitch, as did the coronation. It rankled me that in all the processions from the crowning to the wedding, I had to walk behind Akhenaten. Right when I vowed to myself that in all other ways I would be his equal. The banquet at the festival hall was attended by all those of noble birth, the holy men, and those who labored in the palace. We sat high up on a platform, and there were mountains of food as far as the eye could see.
Everyone seems to be enjoying themselves.
From up here, they all look like so many dwarfs.
I am thirsty, wife.
I strained this cup of pomegranate wine for you.
Thank you.
I exist only for the pleasure of the Pharaoh.
Well.
His bidding is my desire.
We are pleased with our royal wife.
Your pleasure and my silence are one.
Nay. We wish the queen to have her say.
I have nothing to say.
A request, then?
No request, my king.
We wish it. Any entertainment is yours.
Then, perhaps, I should like a story.
Oh, storytellers we have.
May the queen select her own storyteller?
Indeed.
The Pharaoh has in his service one Horemheb, the captain of the guards. I would like him to amuse me with a story.
Fetch him! Captain, the queen desires a story.
A fierce tale of conquest, of the capture of foreign armies by our ancestors, of thousands tortured and made prisoner.
Nefertiti, that doesn't sound like you.
A story of the might of Egypt.
I know of a might that is stronger than the sword.
Yes? Then tell of it.
Royal Pharaoh, Royal Queen, let me tell you of my dream.
We want no dream. We wish reality.
Nefertiti, hear him out. Go ahead, Captain.
Since I was a boy, I have often had this dream of a time when the strength of Egypt will be met with an equal strength across the Nile. The only victor will be death. Our people in their misery will ransack the temples, the Nile will cease to flood, and the black earth remain red. And there will come a Messiah, a teacher of good, a preacher of peace, of healing words. And men shall say this Lord is the shepherd of all people.
Is that all?
And greed and murder and sin shall all disappear if the world but follows in this good shepherd's footsteps. Yes, Your Royal Highness, that is all. That is my dream.
Captain, your story pleased us.
What of Egypt? Its wealth, its conquests?
Your Highness, a story of turning the other cheek told by a soldier is the good way to begin your reign. Pray give it thought.
I don't want to give it thought. Who are you, a mere captain of the guards, to be telling his queen what to think? I wish to be amused, not preached to. I asked for a tale of strength, a story of the greatness of the two Egypts, the hiss of the cobra, the scream of the vulture, and you have disobeyed me. My lord Pharaoh, what punishment does Horemheb deserve?
Punishment? But why?
I say 50 lashes. I want this man whipped for disobeying his queen.
But it's Horemheb. We all grew up together.
I know who it is. Call the lash this instant. If I have to wait one more moment, it will be 100, not 50. 48. 49. 50. Captain Horemheb, what do you see on my head?
The royal diadem, Your Majesty.
Describe it to me.
A gold band signifying the two Egypts, and over the forehead the gold cobra of the north, and the gold vulture of the south.
Remember that, Captain. I come from southern Egypt. I, your queen, and the vulture of the south. I expect always to be obeyed. Next time, keep your dreams of a Messiah to yourself. Captain, you may leave us.
Wait a moment, Captain. Captain, your story has pleased us well.
It pleased not me.
You may go now, General Horemheb.
Why did I do it? Why did I seek to have Horemheb humbled before me? His story affected me also. There was wisdom in it. But I was determined to start my reign as queen by being obeyed. It was a test of strength between us. And I knew Horemheb regarded it as such. That night, the festivities over, my husband and I were alone in the palace.
Why did you punish Horemheb with such vehemence so soon after receiving the crown?
Why did you make him a general?
Oh, I like him. He deserved it.
He deserved the lashes as well.
Nefertiti, I don't understand you. I've always liked Horemheb, and I know you have also. A queen should be gracious and forgiving. Besides, there was truth in his story. I could feel it.
I don't know. Perhaps I'm a creature of moods. He never flinched, did he?
He never had. Did you notice that old scar on his cheek? Oh, Nefertiti. 50 lashes for an old friend.
Perhaps I ordered them as an example to you.
Do you get pleasure out of hurting?
He took his punishment, and you rewarded him, making him general. So we are both satisfied.
I'm not so sure. It seemed a strange behavior to me, but perhaps someday I shall understand you better.
You are finding out I have a mind of my own.
Yes. But about some things I could never agree with you.
Really? If I were to say it's late, dear husband, would you mind snuffing out the light?
About that, I would certainly agree.
Brother, are you awake?
Is that you? Certainly I am. Draw the curtains aside. You see, brother, 2 lamps, a board across my knee, and I am designing a new dress for the queen when she is with child.
You always work this late at night?
I do my best designs when the palace is dark and all are asleep. And I'm sure you're glad this day is over, brother.
Don't say brother too loudly. Nobody knows we're related.
I keep forgetting. If I haven't congratulated you before, brother, I want to say the ceremonies went beautifully.
The fruit of 19 years planning. 19 long years. Egypt is more precious to me than my life. And there's only one way for it to continue to be a diadem in the universe, and that is to be powerful. Amenhotep and his son Akhenaten, who is now Pharaoh, are a line of bent and broken reeds. Our family grows increased stronger and wiser. When Nefertiti was born, I solemnly swore to commingle our family with the kings of Egypt. Today's marriage is the first step.
Oh, my dear brother, you make me very proud.
Nefertiti will bear children, but that too is only a beginning. It is not enough. Now, what I am about to say to you, I could only reveal to a brother. It must be a blood secret between us.
Oh, of course.
Akhenaten must die.
Oh, are you saying?
Yes. You understand me. I am. When the time is right, he must eat poisoned food or drink his death.
That would leave Queen Nefertiti a widow. What then?
What would you say, brother, if your son Horemheb were then to marry Nefertiti?
My son, the Pharaoh of both Egypts. My son.
Yes. Horemheb, your son. Today he was made a general. He has always been brave and strong.
Brother, we are embarking upon a perilous course.
But the rewards at the end of the journey are infinite. The gods will honor us.
I shall guard your secret, brother.
It is no longer mine alone. It is
ours.
It was only some time later I learned of the plot upon the life of my husband. What was it? Fate? The gods? They have often said of me that my name, Nefertiti, meant the beautiful. Those who knew me best said it meant the revengeful.
No, the Pharaoh and his queen did not live happily ever after. Theirs was an exciting and precarious existence, with enemies abroad and at home. Akhenaten and Nefertiti, 1,400 years before Christ, defied the temple priests, the holy men, and the old superstitions, and almost paid for their modern ideas with their lives. I shall be back shortly with a postscript. Today we have brought you, with all the accuracy that history provides, the first chapters of the lives of two of the youngest monarchs ever to rule great ancient Egypt. And being young and restless, distrustful of the old ways, they lived to turn superstition into religion and the power of the few into glory for the many. This has been one part of a true, continuing account we shall bring you over the next several days. Our cast included Tammy Grimes, Russell Horton, Evie Juster, Robert Dryden, and Ian Martin. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. And now a preview of the next exciting drama in our 5-part anthology of Egypt's Golden Age.
Nothing but silence. Gods, all of you, listen to your son, Akhenaten. There is no fierceness in me. I cannot order the lash. I cannot be cruel. I love Egypt, but I am not of the metal to whip her, to chain her. Guide me. Tell me, am I strong enough to lead Egypt? Do you hear me? Do you hear me?
This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams. The CBS Radio Mystery Theater presents... Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. The sound of our door is not unlike what greeted the ear of the famous archaeologist Howard Carter when he opened the door of Pharaoh Tutankhamun's tomb. It was like opening a Pandora's box, following in his footsteps into Egypt's Valley of the Kings and unleashing truth chained to the past. This is one of those stories, a fascinating, human, and often tragic account of an extraordinary people who are suddenly discovered and born again. The ancient Egyptians.
It is all a lie. There are no gods, no ancestors to guide the Pharaoh. You are not holy. All you are statues of stone. It is false, all false. If indeed you can hear my voice, I, Akhenaten, supreme ruler of the kingdoms of Egypt, Lord of the Delta and the Nile valleys, I command you, gods of the past, to answer me. Answer me!
Our drama, To Kill a Pharaoh, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by G. Frederick Lewis and stars Tammy Grimes. I'll be with Act One. There is today in a Berlin museum a life-sized plaster portrait of an extraordinarily beautiful girl. Even by the standards of today, the face of this young woman who lived 1,400 years before Christ is a miracle of balance. Her name was Nefertiti, which translated from ancient Egyptian means, "Behold, the beautiful woman." But her beauty was more than skin deep. Nefertiti had spirit, decisiveness, and was in every sense a modern woman. But let her continue with her own story.
I hate it when people say, Nefertiti, oh, that means, behold the beautiful woman. As if that's all I am. Today I'm married, and this is supposed to be my wedding night. But it's not to be spent like everyone else's, because my husband is the king of all Egypt, and his first duty is to go underground into some big limestone caves to pray to his ancestors. Ancestors, I ask you. 1/2 mile of 30-foot-high stone statues.
Nefertiti, every newly crowned pharaoh for dozens of dynasties has gone alone into the Holy of Holies to pray and to learn how to rule.
One can learn that in a cave?
I hope so.
How long must you stay down there?
My father, when he became pharaoh, remained in the sepulchre 15 hours. I must go now. When the bell sounds, I must be ready.
Is it dangerous?
I have no idea what I shall see or what I shall do.
Take care, my love.
I feel as if I'm about to enter another world.
That is the signal, isn't it, brother?
It is. Our new pharaoh is descending the stone steps with the high priest this very moment.
Is it true, brother? Aye, that down there he will be inspired enough to become a ruler?
That is what generations of pharaohs have found. Akhenaten is a weakling. I've watched him since he was a boy, always frightened of animals.
I didn't know that.
I told no one, not even you, my brother. Birds, snakes would throw Akhenaten into a fit. It was a secret his mother and I were sworn to keep. That the young man who would inherit the throne of Egypt was afraid of his own shadow.
Oh, but surely he must have outgrown such foolishness.
Weakness in the blood is never outgrown. This defect is dangerous to our lives.
But how so?
Suppose Egypt were attacked. This king would run from battle. The sooner we're rid of him, the better.
Oh, our religion forbids murder.
Who said the word murder? A king, like any of us, could die accidentally. Who would know?
The gods would know.
They would also know that Akhenaten's death was only for the good of Egypt. We would be forgiven.
How much further down must we go, High Priest?
We are almost at the bronze door, O Pharaoh.
And then?
And then I shall open it and give you this torch to carry into the tomb of the beyond to light your way.
I am to go into the tomb alone?
It is so written.
What shall I find there?
The tomb of the beyond contains great statues of all your ancestors. They have joined Osiris, Isis, and Hathor in the pantheon of the gods. This is the place. This is the bronze door. May I hand you the torch, O Pharaoh, and by the sacred powers vested in me, I shall open the door. May Osiris and Horus speed you on your way.
steps below are very steep.
Once you have passed this threshold, I shall close the door behind you.
Close it? But when my prayers are done, will you open it for me?
When you have spoken to the gods and they have answered, you have but to knock, so. And I shall know your vigil is over. I shall be here.
Be sure that you remain right here.
I shall not fail you, O Pharaoh.
My turn, Queen Nefertiti. You're very good at this game.
It's hard for me to just sit here with you, Mariani, and play this game of Senate when my husband is down there in the tomb of the beyond.
6-8. I have a second turn.
Did you hear what I said?
I did, Queen Nefertiti. But all Egyptian queens have had to await their pharaoh's return from the Holy of Holies.
What is the time?
In 1 hour, it will be dawn.
Dawn of my wedding night. Why doesn't Akhenaten come back? Mariani, what does this mysterious Holy of Holies look like?
Only a pharaoh ever sees it. But they say it's a vast, long, wide tunnel cut out of limestone 1,000 years ago by Thutmose I.
He who dug the first burial place in the Valley of the Kings?
The same. Would you like me to bring you some food to break your fast?
Breakfast? After that enormous wedding feast last night, I'd be sick.
You'd be sick. I guess you would be.
Mariani, what's the matter? What is it?
You would not understand. I should not invade your day. Not today of all days, with my thoughts.
Now, you stop that. I want you to go home, Mariani. You've been up all night, and that's enough. And on your way, I gave orders that a large basket of food is ready in the kitchen for you to take with you.
I shouldn't behave like this, I know. But all yesterday evening, at the coronation and wedding banquet, seeing all that food, so much wasted, thrown away. And everyone I know where we live wear blinders.
Mariani, I promise you that will all change. Who knows what a queen can do if she puts her mind to it? Now, there, you see? Something good has come from your tears. You have quite made me forget my anxiety over Akhenaten.
Where are you, gods? Where are you, father? Grandfather? Great-grandfather? I have been on my knees for many hours praying to you. Answer me. Answer me! Horus, Nekhabet, Anubis! I call you from the depths of my aloneness. I kneel at the feet of your great statues. Speak! If you have tongues, make me hear. I am a pharaoh now, but I feel no differently from the time I was a child of a pharaoh. Enlighten me. Teach me, please. Please make me understand what I must do to rule Egypt.
Mother Ty, I'm so glad you came. Where is Akhenaten? Have you seen him?
He'd be more likely to return to his bride than his mother.
But it's hours past dawn. I'm afraid. I know my husband. He cannot stand to be in an enclosed space. And in a tomb with reminders of death. What good is this vigil?
Nefertiti, where do you think a young pharaoh learns the conduct of state? Only our ancestors and the gods know. That is why Akhenaten must pray alone. And pray to them.
Silence. Nothing but silence. Gods, all of you, listen to your son, Akhenaten. There is no fierceness in me. I cannot order the lash. I cannot be cruel. I love Egypt, but I am not of the metal to whip her, to chain her. Guide me. Tell me, Am I strong enough to lead Egypt? Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Dust everywhere. I'm being buried. Pharaoh, help me! Help!
What is that? Did you hear that sound, Queenside? Something awful has happened down there.
We must be patient, child.
No, I'm not going to sit here. Not a moment longer.
Where are you going?
I don't know, but I have this feeling he's in some danger. Which is the way, Mother Ty? Tell me where it is.
I don't know the way there.
Then I shall find out.
No, Nefertiti, you mustn't. If the queen joined the king while he is praying, it would be sacrilege.
All very well for you to say. I shall take the palace guards. Someone will know the way.
Queen Nefertiti.
High priest, I want you to open this bronze door.
Oh, I cannot, my queen.
You cannot? You mean you will not?
It is forbidden.
And I, your queen, forbid you to disobey me.
The gods will strike me dead.
You have a choice. Death by the gods or by my soldiers.
I beg you to understand, no one may enter the Holy of Holies.
Stand aside, I command you.
It is the sin of sins.
You will not move then.
I cannot. I must guard this door with my life.
So be it. Guards, run him through.
No. No. I cannot disobey you. I shall open.
No one. No one. Not one word. Nothing but broken and fallen statues and dust and sand. It is all a lie. 40 pharaohs have prayed here under the earth. It was their wishes, their imaginations that put words into their ears. Oh, gods, that it should fall to me to discover there is nothing. No gods. Only statues of stone. For the last time, I order you to speak. I, Akhenaten, supreme ruler of the two Egypts, the Delta and the Nile valleys, command you, if you are there, answer me. Answer me!
Sound waves can cause landslides and crack stone. In the confined tomb, Akhenaten's shouting shattered statues, burying the newly crowned pharaoh in limestone, sandstone, and rubble. 1,000 yards away, his young wife, Nefertiti, has opened the bronze door to the sepulchre to be met with billows of dust and sand and an echoing roar. I shall return shortly with Act Two. In an underground, mile-long chamber filled with 30-foot-high stone statues of pharaohs of the past, a young man destined to be supreme ruler of Egypt lies on the ground, fighting to breathe under broken stone and sand and dust. Have the Egyptian gods decreed he must die? In a far-off doorway stands his queen, Nefertiti.
Akhenaten!
Do you wish to enter, Queen Nefertiti?
Something terrible is happening down there. I know it.
All one can see is dust rising.
Take a torch and come with me. Akhenaten!
Prime Minister, your daughter has gone into the holy place.
What? Why?
I could not stop her. She refused to wait any longer for Akhenaten's return.
Who knows about this?
She took some palace guards with her. No one else.
Except the high priest who guards the bronze door.
I want to follow her.
No, wait a moment. No one but the guards and the high priest have seen her. If you and I go there, the sin will be compounded. When Nefertiti returns, I shall have a quiet word with the high priest and the guards.
Please, I ask you as an old friend. Go yourself and find out what you can. But cautiously.
What if the priests should talk? What if they are not silent?
Then their tongues will have to be made so. Permanently.
High priest, I could not find him.
You must trust in our gods. The cavern is very deep. Our Pharaoh is there.
I took your torch and searched as far as I dared. There are fallen statues everywhere.
Queen Nefertiti, I have been looking for you.
Father, I'm so glad you're here. Something terrible has happened in the sepulchre. Not an hour ago, there was a very loud noise, like an underground landslide. And so
You had best return to your chambers up above.
But how can I leave? Akhenaten is in there somewhere. I may never see him alive again. Please. You must go in after him.
That door is only open to a pharaoh.
I was in there.
Perhaps you were imagining things, my child. Your concern for the pharaoh has made you imagine you went inside. Your love for him is so strong you believe you actually went through the bronze door.
But I did. I did.
No, child, you couldn't have. The high priest would never have permitted it.
I forced him to, Father. High priest, tell the Prime Minister. Didn't you give me a torch and see me enter the sepulchre?
I saw nothing, my queen.
What?
Come, daughter. Come with me.
My father, the Prime Minister, led me back to my chambers. He refused to believe I had entered the sacred caverns. Hours went by. It became noon, afternoon, then evening. The moon rose, and unknown to me at the time, high in the Theban hills, something incredible was happening.
You there. What are you doing? Don't think I can't see you. The moon is very bright. You, beggar. Where did you come from?
Aton the sun, thou who didst create the world according to thy desire.
Do you hear me? Get off your knees, beggar. Look at you, clothes torn, hands and face.
Thy rays, O God of the sun, suckle every meadow. When thou risest, all things live and grow for thee.
Beggar, I warn you, you're trespassing in the royal pomegranate grove. How did you get here?
Good shepherd, I came up from the earth.
From the earth?
From that place there, that hole. I have crawled and crawled under the ground with Aton, the sun god, showing me the way.
You expect me to believe that? I advise you, look sharp and go away. Oh, here comes one of the queen's handmaidens. She lives in a cottage near mine. Don't frighten my sheep.
Good evening and blessings, shepherd.
The gods be with you this evening, Mariani. I have been cursed with this ruffian who crawled up out of the ground. Look at him there on his knees.
Stranger, are you... You look very much like someone I know.
Mariani.
The Pharaoh. How is it possible?
I could not sleep. Outside, clouds hid the moon. In the dark, I found myself going down to the fish pool in the palace courtyard. Then suddenly, the clouds passed. The moon shone brightly. And I knew there was nothing to fear. I sat on a stone seat. I knew Akhenaten would come.
Nefertiti. Nefertiti.
Oh, my husband. What happened to you? Mariani.
The Pharaoh appeared in the hills in the pomegranate grove.
In the Hill of Thieves?
I shall explain. Let me sit a moment by the fountain.
I brought the Pharaoh back myself. I did not want anyone to see him like this.
The wonder of it is no one looked at me twice. All they saw, I suppose, was a ragged man smeared with dirt. They didn't recognize me.
Oh, Mariani, how can I thank you enough?
I must go home now. My sisters will be worried.
Here, this purse of gold coins. Take it. I insist. I shall never be able to repay you.
I thank you also, Mariani. You may leave us.
Good night. The gods be with you.
The gods, she said. Oh, if she only knew.
Rest yourself. Stay here beside the pool, my king.
They shall all know soon.
Your poor face and hands are sore. Your feet are bleeding. Let me bathe your wound.
I'm not hurt. I'm not tired. I'm exhilarated.
Do you wish to tell me about it?
Hours and hours I was at prayer in that tomb. But nothing happened. No gods answered. No words from the past. I shouted. I screamed. I cursed. And then I don't know. Something must have fallen on me.
Yes, there's a cut on your head. Let me kiss it.
And then, when I awoke, my torch had gone out. All was black. I was buried under sand and stone. And the way I had entered the sepulchre, behind me was a mountain of broken statues. I was entombed.
Don't tell me any more if it tires you.
The air was so close I could hardly breathe. And then I made a vow. I took a solemn oath with all my spirit. I promised by everything sacred that whichever god came to my rescue, to that one god, I would give all my faith and my love.
So all our great gods heard you and freed you?
No, Nefertiti. Not all. Only one god. As I lay there underground, I saw far off a light, a golden sliver of light far away at the end of a long tunnel. It beckoned me. I crawled toward it. Always that light. I dragged myself toward it. Hours went by, but I kept crawling. As I got closer, the white light turned red, and then I knew what it was. Aton. The sun sinking behind the hills. Aton had shown me the way out of the tomb, and he was now going to sleep. Aton, the sun, saved my life.
Darling, we have talked enough. You've been too many hours without rest. Let us go inside.
I have much to do. Tomorrow, Aton, the sun, will be proclaimed the only god of Egypt. We have all of us been in darkness too long.
Pharaoh Akhenaten, to what do I owe the honor of this early morning visit?
I have come to ask your advice, Prime Minister, how best to inform the country that from today on, we shall worship but one god, Aton, the sun. Temples will be built in his honor, and word will be sent far and wide. I have discovered how useless are our many gods, and I must make this known. With all my heart, I believe there is only one god.
May I suggest, Your Royal Highness, to go first and persuade your mother, Queen Tai. If the Queen Mother agrees with your beliefs, so will much of Egypt.
But, Mother, we have been worshipping stones, animals, and dreams.
I am not saying there is anything wrong with the sun god. He belongs in the family of gods.
There is only one god.
You have always had mad ideas, Akhenaten. What if you cannot make people change their religion?
I shall have to persuade them.
How can you, son, if you cannot persuade me, your own mother? Of course I believe in Aton, but I don't believe he can do everything. Who would a mother pray to if you took away Anutet, protectress of childbirth? Who would love us and treat if you did away with Hathor?
Childish superstitions, Mother.
It's unrealistic, Akhenaten, and no way to begin your reign.
No, Akhenaten. I wouldn't say it's unrealistic.
At least someone agrees with me.
But I'm afraid persuasion won't do it. The only way to get people to do anything or believe anything is to tell them they have to. Give them no alternative.
I couldn't.
Make them believe what you wish them to believe.
I know that's the old Egyptian way, how we conquered countries and people, but I cannot. I must make them see the light, educate them. Yes, see the light, as I did.
If you rely on reason, people will do nothing. It's easier for them to stay with the old beliefs than try the new. Crack the whip, and people will jump. Speak in a soft voice, and they can't hear you. You spoke of the old Egyptian way. Do you think we won Nubia, Syria, all Egypt's possession with reason or with force?
I'm looking to tomorrow, Nefertiti, not yesterday.
And are not all these lands better off under Egypt's protection? The average man does not know what is good for him. He never did. If one god is what you want, Akhenaten, don't ask. Order.
It may seem strange to those of us living in this century that belief in a god or the hereafter was so important in ancient days. Don't forget, wars have been fought over religion. 8 crusades launched against the infidel. For centuries, Puritan was at the throat of heretic. Why, in the 1200s, thousands died in battle over the theological argument of how many angels could dance on the head of a pin. I shall return shortly with Act 3. What began as a childish fear and dislike of animals has, in the young Pharaoh, become a full-blown protest against a heritage of grotesque gods, part human, part beast. Some 2,000 divinities whom the ancient Egyptian trusted to protect him in every aspect of his life. How to convince a man who felt if you changed your god, it might seal your fate. And so, each day in the weeks that followed, a royal couple disguised themselves and went into the streets of Thebes.
Friends, a moment of your time.
Who is that?
Some nobleman comes here every afternoon to preach.
You suppose that's his wife in that chariot? Her face is hidden, but that dress is gauze from Giza, I'll bet you.
Friends, Egyptians, gather around me and listen. It will cost you nothing and could be worth everything.
I'd say he's some kind of a fanatic.
He doesn't speak plainly.
I wonder who he is.
I don't understand what he's talking about.
Let me give you an example, friends. Every year, why do we pray to the spirit of Osiris? Tell me. Speak out, friends. Is there no Egyptian who will tell me? I'll tell you why you pray to Osiris. Because we need the Nile to flood and carry rich soil to the farms. So we pray, and every year the Nile floods, and we are rewarded with good crops and plentiful food.
Oh, I have to go back to my shop. I know what he's going to say. One God is all we need. One God is all there is.
But how do we know the Nile would not flood without our prayers? I say, let us find out. Let us all gather here tomorrow and pray to Osiris. Then let us gather here a week from today and pray again to Osiris to flood the Nile. Is there a farmer here who wouldn't like an extra crop?
I told you he'd say something foolish. Who wants to plant fruits and corn this time of year?
Let us see whether Osiris raises the Nile. Let us not wait until the spring when we know the Nile always floods. Stop and think about that.
Some people just love to stand on a box and talk and stir up things, don't they? What brings you here, brother?
The Pharaoh.
Explain yourself.
I was in the marketplace yesterday, the first time in months, and there was this preacher. I was told he's been going about among the people and preaching one God.
Another fool.
Fool? It is our Pharaoh, Akhenaten, in disguise.
In the city? In Thebes?
Yes, I'm sure of it. After all, the ordinary Egyptian, how many would know His Highness by sight?
Preaching in the marketplace.
And the queen goes with him.
Nefertiti? My daughter?
Oh, yes. I saw her sitting back in her covered chariot not far from where the Pharaoh was haranguing the crowd.
And you say, brother, no one recognizes him?
No one. But how could they? His entire life is hidden behind palace walls, and his disguise was very good. Even I was fooled.
So he preaches for Aton, the sun god, does he? Madness. I never thought he would take to the streets.
It is peculiar.
He is far worse than that. I believe Akhenaten is insane.
Oh, no, you can't mean that.
If we do not act quickly, he will undermine all that Egypt has been for 17 dynasties.
You believe so?
If the Syrians or the Nubians or the Hittites learn a madman wears our crown, they would annihilate us.
What can be done?
I said once to you I wished Akhenaten dead because he was too weak to rule Egypt. Now I am equally certain he is too mad. I told you he must die. And your son, Hornrab, now the general of the armies, should marry my daughter, Queen Nefertiti. There would be a match. Together they would rule with strength. I said to you we must wait for the right time, and that time is now. Are you with me in this?
Yes. I would rather sew a shirt than a shroud.
I am honored you came this evening, O Pharaoh.
I should be by the side of my queen, but I understand affairs of state. Now, why did you wish to see me, Prime Minister? What's the problem?
Do you remember not so many moons ago you asked my advice?
Yes. Yes, how to make my people believe in Aton, the sun god. Yes, I remember, but you had nothing to tell me.
That's true. But your faith in my advice is joined by my faith in yours. I need your advice.
Of course, anything.
First, will you join me in a beaker of pomegranate wine?
Certainly.
I've already poured it. That is yours, and this is mine.
To what shall we drink?
To Egypt. May she live 1,000,000 years. Let us empty our cups at one long swallow.
By all means.
Oh, it's a good wine.
So much at one gulp. Makes me feel a little giddy.
Now as to the advice I need. Come with me, O Pharaoh, to this part of my room. This curtain hangs across my bed.
Aye. What is that on your bed?
A gold coffin, my king, that I've had made for myself.
Fritz, my dear, you're not an old man. You'll live yet for many years. Why are you thinking of death and burial?
I have been plagued by a dream that my hour is near. I intend to sleep in that coffin every night until it is my last. I'll show you how comfortable it is, how well I can lie down in it.
I will not have this. As your Pharaoh, I command you to put this aside. What a gruesome idea.
Are you sure your objection to this coffin is not the superstition in you? Remember, Akhenaten, how you fainted at your father's funeral? I had to lead you out of the room.
I am different now.
You may say you are, but I'm certain you would not dare lie down in my coffin to prove it to me.
If that will prove to you I am not superstitious, I certainly will. Here, help me up upon your bed.
Yes.
Now, I am inside your coffin. Is that enough proof for you?
Lie down.
All right. There.
I am convinced. I'm glad you were honest with me, my Pharaoh. May I help you out?
In a moment. Suddenly I'm overcome with fatigue. Let me lie in here a moment and close my eyes.
Brother, you there? You can come in now.
Is the Pharaoh inside the coffin?
Yes. The potion I placed in his wine has taken effect. Help me close the lid.
I am shaking with fright. Supposing the king awakens and cries out.
It is a powerful drug. He will not. And in time, there'll be no more air for him to breathe inside the coffin, and he shall be no more.
I am afraid, brother, it is a monstrous deed. To kill a man without cause is unlawful, but to kill a king is the greatest sin of all.
We have cause enough to save Egypt.
What now?
We wait quietly until everyone in the palace is fast asleep. Then you and I shall carry the coffin outside to my chariot.
Where do we take it?
To the top of Mount Oman. There I shall bind the coffin to the chariot, unrein the horses, and you and I together will plunge the chariot over the cliff into the Nile.
I am feeling much better now, Nefertiti. It was good of you, child, to spend these late hours with your mother-in-law.
I have told you very often I will always regard you as my own mother.
Of course. Yes. That's what it is. What is? What made me so upset and feverish tonight? I had the same sensation when my dear husband was dying. That entire week before he took to his bed, I had this strange premonition of death.
You're a long way from that, dearest Queen Kai.
Perhaps. But perhaps someone dear to me is not. However, the presentiment has passed for the moment. So I want you to go back to your own bed. Akhenaten will be worried. You know, he's changed a great deal since he married you, Nefertiti.
Yes. I love him for that. He is quite serious now. And dedicated.
And so are you, child. I can remember not so many moons ago when you were but a princess, and the love of your life was your kitten, Mew Mew.
I still love Mew Mew.
Well, tell my son not to be concerned about me.
I hope he's back from his meeting with the Prime Minister. It's very late.
It's not going well, is it?
What?
I know what you're doing. Your disguises don't blind me. You and Akhenaten are preaching in the streets, and people are not listening, are they?
Queen Tyre's part of the palace was across the courtyard from mine. It was very late as I came out the door. The only lights were the 4 torches burning on each corner of the lotus pool. A chariot pulled away from the Prime Minister's doorway very quickly. Then I saw my cat, Mew Mew. The chariot seemed to be heading straight for him. Stop! Stop!
You mad woman! You made me run my chariot straight into a wall. You could have killed us all. Who are you, woman?
Woman? I'm your queen, Nefertiti. Why, it's you, Father. And the court tailor. Didn't you see my cat? You almost ran it down.
My foot. It's caught under the coffin. Nefertiti, go home. Go home this instant.
You were talking to your queen, Father, not some child. What is this coffin you were taking out of the courtyard?
Help me push this from my foot. Only some servant I'm taking to the burial grounds.
At this time of night? I'm sorry your chariot is all broken. But let me help, Father. And we'll pull the coffin from the poor tailor's foot.
No. I can take care of this by myself.
What's this? The lid of the coffin is cracked. It's opening. Father, the person inside the coffin isn't dead. He's pushing up the lid. Akhenaten! Husband! What does this mean? Akhenaten, the sun is up. We must rise also.
Oh, what day is it? Oh, yes, I remember. I wish today had never come.
We must steel ourselves.
All week long I've not understood it. That the Prime Minister would have a hand in killing a pharaoh. I keep asking myself, was it all a mistake? Did your father and his brother really believe I'd suddenly died?
But how could it have been a mistake? The pomegranate wine poisoned, their haste in rushing out with the coffin, you in it?
Oh, Aton, spare us. That is the signal.
I pray for my father's everlasting spirit and my uncle's.
Oh, Nefertiti. That a man so highly placed, so trusted, should have been so evil.
We must be strong and remember him only for the good deeds.
It is done. Their bodies are destroyed.
As they would have destroyed yours, Akhenaten.
You're right. We must go on. Oh, I feel I've aged 100 years in 100 minutes. Instead of being afraid of animals and birds, now I fear the nature of man. Is man at heart so evil? I must not believe that. I don't want to. I swear to you, my wife, I shall dedicate this reign, my life, to finding out, to proving to myself, to all of us, that man is fundamentally good. Aton, God of the sun, sole and only God, help us find the truth.
And so began the first year of our reign. Akhenaten and I had taken upon ourselves a heavy burden. He, to prove man was good, and God was one. I, Nefertiti, daughter of a shamed father, was far from certain. Now I began to fear the shadows, and what might be lurking behind them. What? And who? I wanted also to be a mother. The line of kings must continue. But this world of ours, was it the kind of world into which to bring a child?
Nefertiti, a face known to all of us, but whose life up to now has been hidden from us, voices the same fears of the unknown many do today. And yet she did not realize how determined she was, how strong her character. Egypt would bow before her like no other queen in history. I shall return shortly. We have tried to bring to life those whose lives have long been figures of mystery and legend. Nefertiti and her pharaoh, Akhenaten. Open the tombs, unbind the linens, and unshroud the mummies, and there are lifetimes of intrigue, tragedy, and excitement. For these two were the greatest influence on ancient Egypt of any two monarchs before or since. Join us next time when we continue this fascinating true account. Our cast included Tammy Grimes, Evie Juster, Russell Horton, Robert Dryden, and Ian Martin. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. And now a preview of the next exciting drama in our 5-part anthology of Egypt's Golden Age, starring Tammy Grimes.
I know the Hittites.
I'm sorry you have no faith in my judgment. But if it was your intention to stop this visit of the prince, I hereby order you not to. That is your pharaoh's wish. Now, I shall leave you. I see another campfire further up the hill. There are more that I need to talk to. Wait for me here, Nefertiti.
Is it true what you say, Hornwald? That we should fear for our lives?
I am sorry the great pharaoh puts more trust in prayers than swords. I know what I must do.
Stop the Hittite prince from his march on Thebes?
No question. It is the only way.
Hornwald, dear friend, you're taking your life in your hands by disobeying Akhenaten.
That is my decision. I would rather die on the field of battle than be ambushed by the Hittites at home in bed.
This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams. Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. If you've been listening, you will have heard the first chapters of one of the great eras of history, the Golden Age of Egypt. Today, another look at the beautiful and willful Queen Nefertiti and her inspired pharaoh, Akhenaten. Both monarchs, 1400 years B.C. Both rebelled against the superstition that everything you did was watched over by a separate god. The farmer had his, the sailor another. The mother prayed to her god. All save the sickly and the poor. Not a single Egyptian god protected them.
General Hornwald. What brings the general of my army here?
Noble Pharaoh, my scouts report that the son of the Hittite king has set out for Egypt with an armed escort.
We shall welcome him with open arms.
That would be a mistake. He is planning to take over your throne.
Oh, that is not possible. The prince is our friend.
You have no friends, O Pharaoh. Only enemies.
Our drama, The Cobra Strikes, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by G. Frederick Lewis and stars Tammy Grimes. I'll be back shortly with Act One. Nefertiti, queen during the Golden Age of Egypt, has been an enigma to scholars for hundreds of years. But she did live and love, and with Akhenaten, her young husband, tried to turn the minds of Egyptians around. This world of the golden past has recently been visiting museums in American cities. Overnight, we have become aware of its wealth and pomp and mysterious rituals. Let the Queen take you back to those days.
The most tragic day of my life was the day my own father had to be put to death for plotting to kill my husband, the Pharaoh. My father, the Prime Minister, was not the only one who thought Akhenaten weak and unable to rule. What no one understood was he believed in persuasion, not persecution. And so the two of us traveled from Thebes to Luxor to speak to the people face to face and tell them that they were being deceived. Husband, it's getting dark. Let us return to the palace.
Oh, Nefertiti, I'm talked out. I've been preaching and exhorting my people to forget the false gods. They won't listen.
Shall we go home?
Oh, you take the reins. I'm too tired.
Oh! Do you know what I think? We're making a mistake. In fact, two of them. First, we're begging the people to listen. You are the Pharaoh. A Pharaoh doesn't beg his subjects. He commands. Issue a decree. Tear down the old beliefs.
I cannot order all the temples to be destroyed without giving my people an alternative.
You're giving them an alternative. One god. Aton, god of the sun.
But I haven't convinced them.
Words won't do it. I think I know why so few people believe in your one god.
You do?
They see their king Akhenaten and their queen Nefertiti speaking in the marketplaces. And they can't understand what their ruler is doing there. To them, there is only one explanation. You must be mad, and I must be mad also.
Yes, they won't accept a king who walks the streets with them.
I think there's a way. Become one of the common people. We disguise ourselves from head to foot and then walk into the hills behind Thebes and sit with them.
Yes. Start by convincing the beggars, the blind, all of those who live up there.
Exactly. The abandoned people, too old or too sick to work. The homeless.
Do you think these outcasts would believe in the one God?
What have they got to lose by listening or believing? They have nothing. We're back in the palace courtyard. What do you say to my plan?
Persuade the army of nobodies. Yes, I think we should try.
It would be a beginning.
And if I can persuade them, others would follow. An hour ago, I was exhausted and I despaired. You've given me the spirit to go on trying.
Akhenaten and I found some ragged clothes and dirty, much-used sandals. One night, we walked many miles into the hills, and they sprang to life with dozens of little fires around, which the blind, the old, the infirm, the rejected sat to warm themselves.
Have I seen you at this fire before, brother?
No, you have not.
Is that young man your brother?
Yes, I am.
Under what name do you pass?
Akhenaten.
Oh, like the Pharaoh himself. Friends, are you aware that we are honored with a distinguished visitor this night? This is Brother Akhenaten. Sister Cripple, raise your crutch and salute to Brother Akhenaten.
Never heard of him. Who is he, Brother Beggar?
Oh, idiot. Your mind is as weak as your foot. Don't you know that name? The same as the Pharaoh's. Brother Akhenaten, you are both welcome. This is a privilege. With a name like that, you should be king of the camel dung beggars.
Why should he be king? What's he done for us?
Well, what has any king done for us? But we live on. The deaf, the mute, the sick, the poor. We live on.
Old Amenhotep is dead, they say. And his son is king. What's his name?
If you would listen, Sister Cripple, you would know. Akhenaten is his name, and also the name of this neatherd here. And he is going to tell us how he became king. Aren't you, brother?
You are all laughing and joking sitting around this fire. Is no one serious here?
Oh, life is serious. If we don't laugh at it, Brother Akhenaton, it makes fun of us. Life makes a joke of us beggars. Life makes us die.
Yes, I watched them bury the Pharaoh Amenhotep. They didn't see me. Did I ever tell you?
We've heard your stories before. But how about you, brother? Tell us of your travels.
Well, I was there. I saw the funeral.
I don't know that what I have to say is what you want to hear.
Of course it is. Go on, speak to them.
Oh, tell a story. Make a speech. Oh, king.
They buried old Amenhotep in 3 layers of solid gold. I was there. I watched. Gold as thick as your hand, and jars of ointments and boxes of food for the dead pharaoh to eat on the long journey to eternal rest. And then I buried my father in the desert. But I didn't bury him deep enough, so he never ate in eternity. The desert jackals found his body and made a meal of him.
Now, is that just? Is that a religion worth believing in? That only the man of property or position can afford life after death? That only a nobleman is buried in anointed linens and laid to rest in a golden tomb? And all the others, like you have to take your chances in the desert.
That was a good speech.
Let my brother go on. He isn't finished.
I was lost. And Aton, the sun, found me.
How were you lost?
I was made to descend into the bowels of the earth, and I could not find my way out. And then I saw a light. It was Aton, the sun god, showing me how to escape. I followed his rays, and I shall always follow. I say to you, if you believe in this one God, he will comfort you. He will rescue you. Why live like this? Why lurk in the darkness, outcast?
He asks too many questions.
Let us all walk into the light. Look to the glorious eye, the sun, and be free.
Get him out of here. He isn't funny.
Brother Akhenaton, you'd better sit down or go away.
Brother, stop now. Please.
No, friends, there is nothing funny about starvation, about poverty. If the gods are so just and so powerful, why are you poor and sick and homeless? I'll tell you. Because those old gods have no strength. They are feeble, nothing. Stone statues in the dark. Only Aton, the god of the sun, can help.
Who threw that stone? Someone threw a stone at my brother.
Well, I warned you, brother.
We don't want to hear any more.
Friends, I am your king. Pray with me at dawn. Aton will protect us all forever.
No more preaching. Here's a stone for your pain.
Akhenaten, we must leave here. They don't wish to listen. We must go.
Hurry, and don't come back.
What's that?
A jackal roaming the hills looking for something to eat. I know prayer to the sun god would make life easier, even for them. Oh, if only I could convince them. Before I've even been on the throne 1 year, I'm a failure.
Because no one believes you or pays attention.
A stone wall of ignorance. How does one go around it?
What keeps us here in Thebes, husband?
Responsibility.
I'm thinking. A pharaoh must set the example. He must show the way.
I know that.
If I were the sun god, and my subjects were spurned in the old cities, I, Aton, would say, Akhenaten, build me a new place where I can be worshipped in peace.
A new place? My great-great-grandfather built the temple at Karnak. I could build a new temple to Aton.
Set the example, and Egypt will clamor at our gates. Build not only a temple, but a city.
A new place. A new city.
I want a child, Akhenaten. I want it to be born where he belongs, where he is welcome.
A firstborn. Oh, my wife, my precious golden wife.
Salutations to your majesty.
General Horonrab, what brings you here?
Necessity. I set out yesterday at dawn to find you. Now, let me not waste a moment. My scouts have reported that the son of the Hittite king, Prince Ananza, has set out for Egypt with an armed escort.
We shall welcome him with open arms.
I said armed escort, thousands of soldiers.
It doesn't sound like a peaceful visit.
My thoughts exactly, my lady.
What are you saying?
That there is a plot to put this foreign prince on the throne of Egypt.
Oh, I cannot believe that. The prince and his father are our friends.
You have no friends, Pharaoh, only enemies. I know the Hittites.
I'm sorry you have no faith in my judgment. But if it was your intention to stop this visit of the prince, I hereby order you not to. That is your Pharaoh's wish. Now, I shall leave you. I see another campfire further up the hill. There are more that I need to talk to. Wait for me here, Nefertiti.
Is it true what you say, Hohenraub? That we should fear for our lives?
I am sorry the great Pharaoh puts more trust in prayers than swords. I know what I must do.
Stop the Hittite prince from his march on Thebes?
No question. It is the only way.
Hohenraub, dear friend, you're taking your life in your hands by disobeying Akhenaten.
That is my decision. I would rather die on the field of battle than be ambushed by the Hittites at home in bed. Akhenaten has led too much of a protected life. He knows little and cares less for war. But this time, Egypt deserves more of me than blind obedience.
Egypt in that golden age was always prey to invasion from a neighboring state. Those, like the Egyptians, who have unlimited gold, have to this day had to be on the alert. Then, too, both Nefertiti and Akhenaten were too young and inexperienced to understand how to rule over the two Egypts, bearing two symbols, the south, the vulture, and the north, the cobra. I shall return shortly with Act 2. Fantastic people speaking from the past. How much of what they began is part of our lives today? Let me tell you, the 12-month calendar is an Egyptian invention, as are the 365 days. Those 5 extra days at the end of the year were celebrated as birthdays of the gods. Ethical values, or laws as we call them, the alphabet, and great architecture, sculpture, and painting all began in Egypt. Particularly, a beautiful head of a queen fashioned and colored from life, the head of Nefertiti.
That night, as I stood on the edge of the Nile with a man not much older than myself, General Hohenraub, I remembered we had been children together. Even then, I played being soldier, and he was the general. He'd grown up, become a warrior, and the day I became queen, Hohenraub was made a real general. He said goodbye to me and returned to his headquarters in Memphis.
My commanders, our aim, as always, is the protection of Egypt. Our enemy, as I believe you all know, is an army of Hittites advancing upon our borders. Now, our plan is to intercept them with a lightning strike by fast chariots in open country.
General, may I suggest?
Yes, certainly, Commander Hori.
In Cobra Squadron 1, I have 200 archers trained to fire accurately from a moving chariot. We could approach the Hittite at a fast pace, then wheel quickly, passing alongside their troops, fire our arrows, and then retreat.
Good. Commander Templar, how many in Squadron Cobra 2 can fire at a target from a moving chariot?
300, I'd say, General.
Excellent. 500. Each man will carry enough arrows in his chariot, enabling him to make 3 separate passes at the enemy.
I'd like to suggest that my men precede Commander Hori's.
Oh, no, just a moment, Templar.
This is too serious a matter for bickering and squabbles. Now, Hori will go first, then Templar. Our main object, I will tell you, the Hittite prince, Zananza himself. Now, instruct each man in your squadron. The prince is the main target.
Well, that will mean destroying some of his escort.
I leave the details to you. Now, this is to be hit and run. Do you understand? Hit and run. I want the prince dead, the Hittites thrown into confusion, and not one of our men taken alive. This is a secret operation.
I don't quite understand, General.
Not one of our soldiers must be captured and live to report, even under torture, that this was an officially planned action. Let the enemy believe they were ambushed by the Bedouins or bandits, whatever they will. But not the Cobra Command of North Egypt.
Would we not do better with a straight cavalry charge?
I see you have not understood the General, Commander Horry. Close engagement always results in riders being brought down. The General wants to leave behind no prisoners. Understand?
That's enough. Give no quarter, show no mercy, inspire your men to venom. The Cobra's venom. The poison of our attack.
It shall be our battle cry. The Cobra Strikes.
Mariani, I have something vital to tell you. It affects my life. Akhenaten and I believe it will affect the very life of Egypt herself. And it will affect your life.
Has it something to do with the days you both disappear from the palace and go into the hills?
My husband and I have come to a decision. We have decided to build a new capital of Egypt.
A new... But where?
We don't know. We shall travel down the Nile to find a place. It may be very far from Thebes. A city where we can worship the one god Aton, the sun. A city not bent down with old ideas, where citizens can come and breathe freely and pray freely. A city of beauty and life. Mariani, I am asking you to take your little sisters and come with us.
Is it to be for always?
For always.
This new city, how can it be different from Luxor or Memphis or Thebes?
There will be freedom.
Freedom? What difference can it make to me? What difference will it make to poor people, friends of mine, who live in the hills behind Thebes?
In the city of truth, there will be no poor people.
There will always be the poor. No fine tombs for the poor. No promise of eternal life. Only a nameless grave.
Mariani, please put those thoughts aside. Come with us. I don't know what I would do without you.
You don't believe me, do you?
I have seen poverty and sickness.
You haven't felt the sadness on the anniversary of your parents' death. To look for their graves, to bring flowers. And there is no trace in the desert of where they were buried. Yes, Nefertiti, I'll come with you. I would accompany you to the ends of the earth.
I wish you hadn't talked to me about unmarked graves and the poor.
Nefertiti, you wish to become a good queen. Then you must know that in truth there is sadness. And only if you know the truth can you become a good queen.
I've been waiting for you, Templar. Come into my tent.
I cannot remember the Sinai Desert ever being as hot as this.
I've received word from my scouts that they've spotted Prince Zananza on the Sinai Desert near our frontier.
His men, are they well armed?
Battle doesn't seem to be on his mind at all. He stands high in his chariot, dressed in gold.
What follows him?
2 caravans containing gifts.
And in front?
His own bodyguards.
So, the troops are well to the rear.
Half a mile, I'd say.
Horry, I have an idea. I know the general said my squadrons would strike after yours. What do you say we join up and send all of them down together?
Good idea. One sweep, we could wipe them out.
One pass, and we disappear into the dust of the desert. They won't know what hit them.
Welcome home to Memphis, my dear Templar, and you too, Horry. It's been a while since I've seen you. What have you been up to?
What do you mean, General?
Well, I understand some foreign prince was attacked in the Sinai Desert. Heard about that?
There are spies everywhere. We may be watched.
Oh, yes. General, I did hear a rumor. Too bad. A wonderful man, I understand, this prince. What did you say his name was?
You know anything, Commander Horry?
Well, a little. It seems the Hittites happened to be crossing the frontier at El Gahab, and what they thought was an Egyptian desert patrol turned out to be a band of archers. The prince himself fell under many arrows, and in the confusion, the attackers disappeared.
Oh, so nobody knows who they were?
Nobody.
Not a soul.
Oh, terrible. Terrible. What a sad story. I believe the prince was a great friend of our Pharaoh. He will be so distressed to hear this.
I can't believe it. Messenger, get out of my sight before I lose my temper and you lose your head. Get out!
Akhenaten, husband, whatever is the matter?
Oh, don't ask me. I've had a difficult enough day without this treachery.
Treachery?
Do you remember Horemheb asking me whether he could intercept the Hittite prince because he believed it was part of some plot to overthrow our throne?
Yes, I seem to.
Prince Ananza is dead. He's been ambushed in the Sinai on his way to Thebes. I have just received the second report. Cobra chariots. Oh, the disgrace of it. What will any foreigner think, that he isn't safe on the Sinai because it belongs to Egypt? I've sent for Horemheb to explain.
I know him. If anyone in the army is responsible, there'll be stiff punishments.
I don't want revenge on the guilty. I want explanations. I cannot believe Horemheb would deliberately disobey me.
Yes, it is hard to believe, mighty ruler, isn't it?
Come in. Come into our chambers.
So you wonder about the death of Prince Ananza. I did also.
Perhaps it was a band of Bedouins.
Yes, I thought that a possibility also at first, but it appears nothing was stolen. 2 caravans of gifts are at this very moment standing in the desert, guarded, of course, right there where the Hittites left and ran away. No, it was not murder and thievery.
I hold you responsible, General.
And so you should, my king. It was an unfortunate mistake. A few days ago at Army headquarters at Memphis, I investigated the entire incident.
A mistake? Is that what you call it?
Please, I beg you, hear me out. One of our Cobra squadrons exceeded their orders. They should have merely halted the prince and his men, examined their credentials, and then let them pass. But through an error in judgment, they attacked without warning. The commander has been disciplined.
Disciplined? How?
Well, I posted him to a most desolate spot on the Asian frontier. Khufu. Do you know of it?
Is that all? Was that your only punishment to a commander who has brought such disgrace upon the name of Egypt?
My queen, I am not a disciplinarian at heart.
What?
I suppose it's best. You showed him mercy.
I did indeed.
General, the Queen and I are embarking upon a trip down the Nile in the new royal barge. I want you to accompany us.
For what purpose?
To guard your Pharaoh and his queen.
I understand. Am I excused?
You are.
Queen Nefertiti, Royal King, good day.
Why did you do that, Akhenaten?
Do what?
Assign a general to do a corporal's work. There are plenty of palace guards.
I have my reasons.
You belittle him.
Possibly.
His explanation of the death of the Hittite prince didn't please you.
It won't please the king of the Hittites either. We have most certainly gained an enemy.
We launched the splendor of Aton, the new royal barge, and with our servants and their families started downriver. Akhenaten was intent on finding the exact right place for the new city. After what seemed like weeks, we anchored near Hermopolis on the eastern bank of the Nile. Akhenaten was rowed ashore, and as the sun gave way to the moon, I waited on the deck with Mariani.
Oh, how beautiful it is with the Nile flowing gently past us.
Mariani, you don't know what it's meant to have you by my side. Especially now.
Oh, I've attended you for a good many years, Nefertiti.
How quickly it all happens. I become a queen. Then I live in a palace, married. Then suddenly uprooted. Here on this barge with a husband I still hardly know. Has it been less than a year? How old you can grow in such a short time.
I love you, dear Nefertiti. You're like another sister to me. You always have been.
Then you should know how frightened I am, Mariani. To be queen of both Egypts is a heavy weight. And to be here in a strange part of my country about to build a new city is the most frightening feeling of all. All I can see No matter which way I look, are clouds and rain ahead.
We know today from clay tablets discovered some 90 years ago, written in cuneiform characters, exactly what life was like in those days, 14 centuries B.C. These tablets tell us the tragedies and victories of starting a city from scratch. They are called the Amarna tablets, after the name given the city of truth by Akhenaten, Amarna. But I am getting ahead of my story. I shall return shortly with Act 3. A youthful king and queen, she bearing a child, set out to find a new and favorable spot in which they and their followers can practice a new religion, worshipping not a handful of gods, but one. Yet all is not peace and hope. Golden Egypt is under constant surveillance and possible attack from poorer neighbors. Is it a calm before the storm? It is night. The royal barge is anchored in the Nile, 240 miles south of Thebes. Queen Nefertiti, alone on deck, examines her fears.
The sun had gone to sleep behind the hills. In the distance, the calls of jackals and mountain lions roaming for food. My husband somewhere on that unknown shore with only a few sailors. I was terrified. What if something should happen to Akhenaten? I stood at the railing waiting, trying to see through the darkness.
My queen.
Oh, you frightened me.
I am sorry, Nefertiti. It is only me, Horemheb.
I'm glad you're here, Horemheb. Is all well?
Almost everyone has retired for the night. Can you see Akhenaten's boat out there? Is he returning to the barge?
No, I cannot. I can barely make out the bay, the shore, the cliffs behind. Did you pass Mariani?
You mean your handmaiden?
You know who I mean.
Why do you ask?
Because all through our journey you seem to have made such a point of not talking to her. Don't you find her attractive?
Nefertiti, why are you trying to make me aware of Mariani? I wish I understood you.
I think you do, Horemheb. Better than most.
Do you remember the day Akhenaten's father died and I brought you a kitten? Then the day of your marriage it ran away and I found it and brought it back. And then
And then your disobedience as a storyteller at the Coronation Festival.
Why, out of all the priests in your court, did you order me to tell a story of wars and battles?
Why didn't you tell me what I wanted to hear?
Why do we hurt each other?
If you had asked me that question the first few weeks of my marriage, I might have given you an answer. But not now.
Now you love your husband, the Pharaoh.
It makes it easier to love the man that has been arranged for you to marry.
I understand. Good night. Sleep well.
Are you angry?
No. I have done my duty for the night. I've made my rounds. The queen is in good spirits. I shall go to my quarters and await the return of the king.
You are angry.
What am I doing here? I belong with the army, not in this floating golden temple playing nursemaid and night watchman.
It was my husband's idea, General, not mine. He wanted you with him.
He was angry at the death of Prince Ananza. I could see through that. Any foot soldier could have played guard on this barge. He did it to humiliate me, and I shall not forget this.
And don't forget either that Akhenaten is your pharaoh. It's difficult for me to be angry with you, Horemheb. I've known you too many years.
I am tired of the king's games. I take my generalship seriously. Yesterday, one of my men rode out from Hermopolis to tell me that foreign troops are massing in Naharin. Now, what would that mean to His Majesty?
An invasion?
Of a sort. That upstart Prince Haziro has a secret alliance with the Hittites. Now, I know it. And the Hittite king? Oh, he'd give anything to even the score for the death of his son in Sinai.
We have enemies everywhere.
More than we need. But if we do nothing, Haziro will sneak into Syria dressed like an ordinary traveler, and before you know it, he'll be dictator. Syria will fall into his hands, and Egypt will be next. And here I sit, hundreds of miles from Thebes, on a rudderless barge.
I will speak to the Pharaoh. I promise you, General.
Nefertiti! Nefertiti! I found it!
Pharaoh, is that you?
I found it. I have found the ideal place for the city of truth.
Sailors, look sharp. When the rope is thrown from the Pharaoh's boat, make it fast and then pull gently. Nefertiti, remember, whether we believe in many gods or one, in this world there is only one life or death. If we let down our guard, Egypt could disappear from the face of the earth.
It's been a long search, but I found it. This place has everything. One would hardly have to landscape it. Trees, natural avenues, wonderful.
Now we shall have to organize.
You don't seem nearly as enthusiastic as I thought you would be. After all, founding of Amarna was your idea.
Amarna?
Yes. That is its name. It just came to me. Amarna, a resting place of the gods.
Amarna. We shall need much more than enthusiasm. A little realism. If you and I are going to hold this empire together, it can't be all prayers to one god.
Who has been talking to you, Horemheb?
He sees dangers, and you don't want to look.
I don't care what he sees, or what he says. It is not enough to deploy troops and garrison cities. If I can make the peoples of Egypt and its dominions have one solid, true religious worship, then we could have a safe and enduring society.
I'll make a bargain with you, husband. You build the temples, I'll build the city.
Well, what do you know about architecture, street planning, viaducts, water? What do you know about anything?
What I don't, I can find out. What I can't do, I'll have done by the best craftsmen in our world. The barge was made fast ashore, and for many weeks that followed, it would become our home. I persuaded Akhenaten to release General Horemheb to return to Thebes.
Nefertiti, how did you accomplish it?
I told my husband you were the only person into whose hands I would entrust my list of architects needed here to transport at least 1,000 workers downriver.
Well, I have underestimated your talents, Nefertiti.
The most important of all on that list is Beck, the master architect. Horemheb, I want you personally to convince him he must drop everything he's doing at Karnak and tell him I have a city for him to build at Amarna.
Oh, you are a sly one. Am I, expected to return here to Amarna?
We never got round to talking about it, the Pharaoh and I.
Ah, so if I happen to rejoin my army at Memphis, I shan't be missed?
It's quite natural for a general to be with his army, isn't it?
And if the army just happens to run into some foreign troops in Naharim, and a certain Prince Zero is mysteriously kidnapped or killed?
We shall have our hands full here in Amarna, General. I don't think you need any special orders to perform what you know is your duty.
My queen.
Then this is goodbye?
Who knows? So be it. May Aton, the sun god, shine on you.
In the weeks that followed, I worked with Chief Architect Beck. But it seemed for every 2 steps we went forward, we fell 3 steps back.
Queen Nefertiti, you're asking for too much to be done in too little time. Wherever we build, we're constructing on sand, and sand can move. So every time we excavate, we must reinforce. Let me show you on the master map.
It's not excavations or reinforcing that concerns me now. You and I agreed on the location of certain buildings and certain streets, and where are they?
Right here, on the master plan.
I'm not talking about marks on plans. I'm talking about mud bricks, mortar.
It's here. It's all there.
Don't make me angry, Beck. My orders are not being obeyed.
I guarantee you everything is on the plans.
Will you kindly step out on the balcony with me?
Beautiful day.
Now let me point out something to you that is on a plan, perhaps, but nowhere else. Look to your right. Where is the Street of Flowers? That's on the plan.
Well, we haven't yet. The surveyors found that...
And over there, my dear Beck, at right angles, where is the Avenue of Palms?
But as I've been telling you all along, Queen Nefertiti, the land is on the arid side.
What happened to the irrigation canals? The rain storage dam? There on the master plan.
But
It doesn't concern me how you get fresh water to Amarna. By the pitcherful from Thebes if you have to. Now then, please, one more little look at something else. On the far side, facing the mountains. My dear Beck, what are those? Slums? That definitely is not on the plan for Amarna.
Temporary workmen's houses. They'll be torn down to make room for the pylon to be erected there.
Oh?
As soon as the granite slabs arrive by barge in 2 or 3 months, I assure you those shacks will be removed by then.
Those shacks will be torn down immediately. Beck, I charge you. You will give every workman 500, 1,000, 2,000, however many there are. You will give every workman in Amarna the day off, a week off if necessary.
Could you tell me why suddenly they're all on holiday?
You will also give each worker all the mud brick, the wood, and the tools they'll need. And they will be required to build their own permanent houses. You will design streets and avenues for them to build on. Understood? That is my decree. Nothing temporary. You will tell your workmen to build for permanence.
That's impossible.
Indeed.
How can I give our entire workforce a week off and yet continue to construct avenues and so forth?
It's a problem I know you can solve, my dear Beck. I do not like to hear what cannot be done. Only what can.
General Horenrab, welcome to Memphis. We did not expect you at headquarters so soon.
We didn't expect you at all, actually.
What are you talking about, Templar? Why shouldn't I return to Memphis?
You've been gone a long time, General. We commanders had more or less written you off.
Oh, you had you? You thought I would just retire and leave the command of the Egyptian forces to you and Hori?
You've been away for a very long time.
Of course, everyone understood. Nefertiti, our royal queen, needed particular protection.
Is that sarcasm?
Well, General, one hears things.
Does what? Well, what does one hear?
That the general is quite a favorite of Queen Nefertiti herself.
Only the queen? Not the king also?
I would say one hears that the general is more a favorite of the queen.
Say what you mean, Templar.
As you wish. General, you have been observed very close indeed, with our queen on the royal barge. It has become much talked about here in camp.
Oh, and what do they say, the men?
Well,
put the men aside for a moment. What do you say, Commander Hori?
I wish that it was you on the throne of Egypt.
Me? So do I. Yes. You, General.
Then you could have Nefertiti, and we could have a strong, warring pharaoh.
I've heard enough. I am here because of the threat of foreign troops in Naharin. Place your men on the alert.
It's good to have you here, General. Why do we bother dreaming about you being king? He'll be on that throne long after we've died in some battle for Egypt.
Templar? Who knows? Horenrab, a pharaoh. A dream? No. Not impossible. No, not at all. I really don't believe that if something should happen to Akhenaten, that Nefertiti would mind sharing the throne with me.
And so ended the second year of my reign. My husband, the Pharaoh, with his eye on eternity. Myself, Nefertiti, with an eye only for today. And Horenrab. Oh, yes, I knew it. With an eye to the future. Over the months, there would be many, many attacks on Egypt. But always our soldiers could put fear and arrows into the hearts of our enemies. But this strong, masterful soldier, what arrows did he intend for my heart?
Although we have tried to recreate the lives of these unique Egyptians, we have had to depict them in our own terms and in our own language. But Nefertiti and Akhenaten and their subjects must be looked at not from our end of the time scale, but against their primitive background. They were a primitive people with very special talents who left an extraordinary legacy. More on this when I return shortly. We were talking about what distinguishes civilizations. It boils down to the material and the mind. Which do you worship? The Egyptians adored precious stones, unknown gods, and gold. I often ask myself, when I hear modern music, see modern dancing, observe our admiration of the shiny, the new, our love of power, of powerful engines, if we today aren't a lot more primitive than we care to admit. Our cast included Tammy Grimes, Russell Horton, Earl Hammond, Evie Juster, and Court Benson. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
This is the voice of the Rocky Mountain West. Radio 85.
The CBS Radio Mystery Theater presents... Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. I should say welcome to a continuing episode of the fascinating story of Queen Nefertiti and King Aton. I'm delighted to help unveil the mystery of a civilization long ago blanketed by the sweeping desert sands of the Nile Valley. Because the glory that was Egypt has been dug from the tombs of Tutankhamun and other pharaohs, we today have the wrong impression that those ancients cared more about how they died than how they lived. Nothing could be further from the truth.
Akhenaten, where's my daughter?
She's on her knees, praying. Over there in the temple courtyard. She's been there all day. What else would she be doing in the temple?
That baby, a child of 5, on her knees in this roofless temple, all day in this heat. Akhenaten, daughter, darling child. Oh, no! Someone come here! Come quickly! Help me!
Our drama, The Head with One Eye, based on historic records, written especially for the Mystery Theater by G. Frederick Lewis, stars Tammy Grimes. It is sponsored in part by True Value Hardware Stores. I'll be back shortly with Act One. The excitement and interest in one particular Egyptian queen who ruled Egypt 14 centuries before Christ would have never begun had it not been for the discovery of an extraordinary plaster and painted portrait of Nefertiti herself, sculpted in sinuous relief. Go to any museum today, and you'll find a reproduction of this head and shoulders of a woman who can rightly be called the first free-spirited, emancipated female in history. If Nefertiti lived today, aside from her stunning looks and bearing, she'd be regarded as most modern.
I now had 2 children. Akhenaten, who is 3, and Tutankhamun, still a baby. Between being a full-time mother and a part-time supervisor of the building of a new city, a full-time wife to a pharaoh who devoted his every moment to establishing a new religion of one God, the time left to myself sped as fast as the falcon flies.
Good morning, Queen Nefertiti.
Good morning, Marianis.
There are a great many state papers for you to deal with today.
Don't I know it? I've been up for hours. You'll find my replies to the army for the request of 200 new chariots, bow and arrows, and so forth in the 3rd gold box. My reasons for saying no are there to forward.
Are you going somewhere this morning, Nefertiti?
Not likely. I've called a meeting of the sanitation department at 11.
Why are you wearing your blue hat?
The royal headdress?
Yes.
It's for him, Tutmus, the sculptor. He's supposed to be here. If being an artist means you have no idea of the time, I wish we could get along without them. But we can't. They're so irresponsible. They say he's the finest sculptor in Egypt.
But what's all that got to do with your wearing a hat?
He wants it for my official portrait. Now, Mariani, let's have what you brought me.
Your Highness, Your Highness, Your Highness. I prostrate myself. Please forgive me.
Tutmus, you are late.
I am sorry, Your Highness.
Go on, set up your easel and the sculpting stand and your plaster, whatever you like. I must go on working. The business of state cannot stop for us.
Don't worry yourself, Queen Nefertiti. Oh, I'm delighted you're wearing the blue hat. It will set off your face magnificently.
You don't mind working in silence, do you, Tutmus? It's a little hard to concentrate while we're chatting in a table full of state matters that must be dealt with. Do you know my personal assistant, Mariani?
How do you do? I'll just sit up over here by the window where I shan't be in the way. Oh, you have your little baby here in a crib. Isn't he a love? He must be Tutankhamun. I loathe being late, especially on such an important occasion as doing the Queen's head. You have no idea how much I've been looking forward to this day.
What kept you?
Well, I couldn't get through the royal road. It is so torn up, you wouldn't believe it. It's a battlefield of paving stones. I finally stopped my carriage and got to the palace on foot.
I told them to tear up all that black pavement. Tear it up, get rid of it. If those builders can't find pure white stone, I'd rather they pack the earth down. At least it would be the right color.
Now, before we start, dear Queen, I brought you a little something.
Oh, I love presents. Will you unwrap it for me, Tutmus? A little statuette. Very nice indeed. What is it?
A portrait, full length, of your boy.
Of who? Tutankhamun? This is supposed to be him?
You don't like it?
Mariani, do you see any resemblance?
There isn't supposed to be a resemblance.
Why not?
It's the custom, dear Queen.
Custom? This dwarf, stick figure could be anybody. My great-grandfather, the General Horenrab, anybody.
Nefertiti, I don't see how you can say that. It's a beautifully fashioned statuette.
But it's not my son, Tutankhamun.
Your Highness, I really don't understand the fuss. What is it that you want?
I want life. I want your art to imitate life itself. I've always hated our stylized portraits. I want reality in plaster, limestone, wood, anything.
You mean to really look real?
From now on, Tutmus, art must change. No more dwarfed figures, no more scarecrows, no more lies. I'm not attacking you, dear master sculptor. I've far too much respect for that. Everyone knows you are Egypt's greatest artist. But if this new city, Amarna, is to be the city of truth, then our art must be equally truthful.
Realism? I can't wait to get started. Oh, my wondrous Queen. If you only knew what you have done for me. I, too, have always hated those awful statues that tradition compelled me to carve, where everybody's face could be anybody's face. Let me get started.
Nefertiti, are you sure?
The Queen is always sure.
Oh, my Queen, you have reached my heart. All my life, I knew something was missing. And now, to carve and paint what I see. A real smile.
Over here, Tutmus. Just here, I've got a table in the corner.
Oh, am I glad this day is over. That Nefertiti, she is one big package of surprises, I tell you.
You think you had a bad day? You just try being the scribe for Akhenaten and take down his dictation. He is so particular. Every single word.
Nefertiti's quite difficult, too. Confused me completely. Wait till I tell you.
Well, that's quite a royal pair we've got on the throne these days. I almost quit today.
You're joking. What? There isn't a scribe in all Egypt who wouldn't like your job.
Yes, and welcome to it. It's nerve-wracking and thankless. No matter what I do, it's wrong. The Pharaoh doesn't think I write fast enough.
Only one thing keeps me from throwing the papyrus right in Akhenaten's face.
What's that? Horse forbid.
Yes, I'm afraid he'd have me killed.
Oh, no, he wouldn't. The Pharaoh is the last person in the world to order such punishment.
Are you sure?
Akhenaten is too concerned with his new religion and philosophies. He's a dreamer. And dreamers don't act. Not violently.
Well, they're an interesting pair.
You have to admire them. A lot of my friends in Thebes have started to come here to Amarna. This is a new world, Mayhew. A new city.
Yes, city of truth. Isn't that what they call it?
I came to the palace today to do her portrait. Nefertiti wants her plaster portrait to be as lifelike as I can make it. Think of the opportunity. Tomorrow at noon we start. We live in a wonderful age, my friend.
Good morning, my queen. I've brought you the 7 gold trays containing today's business.
Put them in their usual place on my table. Mariani, have you seen my little daughter today?
Nefertiti? No.
Where is she? She didn't come to kiss me good morning.
The Pharaoh took her with him very early. They went to the Greek temple of Aton.
Good. I like that. Remind me, Mariani, to inform the exchequer that when the workmen take time off to build their own houses on the avenue extension, they are to receive full wages.
I'll make a note of that.
What is it, Mariani? Why are you standing there in that funny way? Are you holding something behind your back?
This little basket was left on the steps to your door. I don't know how it got there exactly.
What are you being so mysterious about? A basket.
It's a gift. Someone's left you a gift.
For me? Where is that someone?
Outside.
Let me open the basket and see. A kitten from Persia. Oh, you sweet darling. Look how white and fluffy he is. A kitten. No, wait. Is it Hornrab? General Hornrab. But it can't be.
Why not? Why shouldn't the general of the Egyptian army visit his queen? Hello, Mariani.
Good day, General.
Mariani, don't go. Stay.
I had better. I'm beginning to get a little concerned about Nefertiti. She isn't used to being out in the sun that much.
Oh, she's with her father. You told me, so no harm can come to her.
Still, I'm worried.
I see nothing has changed.
No, it hasn't. Mariani still does my worrying for me. Mariani, all right. Here, take the kitten. When Nefertiti gets back, you let her play with it. She'll love it, so white and soft and furry. Hornrab, thank you very, very much. You know what a kitten means to me. The one man, Mariani, who never brings me flowers, but always kittens.
I take my leave of you, Your Majesty.
Tell my little daughter we shall call it Mew Mew the Second.
How old is she?
Almost 6 years old.
Has it been that long?
Let me look at you, dear General. You haven't changed.
Well, not on the outside, perhaps. Well, you have blossomed, Nefertiti.
Have I?
As has your city of truth.
What brings you to Amarna?
I need help. We all need help. In fact, we need a miracle, Nefertiti.
Dear friend of my childhood, you never did waste time on small talk, did you?
If we want to survive as a nation, something must be done immediately.
Surely, if Egypt is in danger, you and the army can take care of any enemy.
That's what I meant when I said we need a miracle. If the Pharaoh has any influence over Aton, the sun god, now is the time to use it. Otherwise, my dear, beautiful Nefertiti, we are all lost.
Did this really happen? Are those we have met, Nefertiti the queen, Hornrab the general, Tutmos the sculptor, Mariani, are they real? Did they live? They did. How do we know? By reading the inscriptions on the tombs, words on the scarabs, cuneiform correspondence between Asiatic kings and the pharaohs. Archaeology is pure detective work, and the solution is history. I shall return shortly with Act 2. Let me prove to you that so far as ancient Egypt is concerned, one word is worth 1,000 pictures. Of our city of truth, Amarna, today, nothing remains to be seen. Only the ruins and your imagination. Picture this in your mind's eye. A complex of buildings 8 miles along the Nile, 3 miles deep. Mansions of nobles and public officials. Military and police barracks, storehouses, customs houses, workmen's houses, temples, and palaces. And the greatest of these, with hundreds of rooms and colonnades, opening into sunken gardens and water lily pools. The royal palace is larger than Versailles and Fontainebleau combined. You see it? Of course you do. And inside that palace, Nefertiti and her visitor talk.
What do you mean, General Horenrab? Egypt is lost.
We must, without delay, launch a full-scale attack on the Hittites and wipe them out right at home before they can get their war machine started.
We've heard nothing of this danger here in Amarna. Why didn't Thebes inform us?
Why should they? You've got no friends in Thebes. Not one government official, not a nobleman, not a priest.
You're mad.
Yes, that's exactly what they say about Akhenaten and you, Nefertiti. Mad. In all the history of 18 dynasties, you both are the least liked of any reigning monarchs.
Stop that. I, the Queen of all Egypt, have not given you permission to talk like that.
Nefertiti, I am not a stranger. I am Horenrab, your general, supreme commander of the Eastern armies. Now, isn't this the city of truth? Or is the truth only for your subjects and not for yourself?
I don't know why I make myself angry. What do I expect from Thebes? From those simple-minded, superstitious fools?
I suppose as queen you could expect loyalty. You cannot ransack a temple and keep its high priest for a friend. You cannot take all the gold there is in the treasury and expect thanks in return.
Such decisions are made here. Egypt is being governed from Amarna.
Egypt is not being governed at all. You and Akhenaten are concerned only with taking every sack of gold you can lay your hands on from Memphis to Luxor to spend on this toy city.
Horenrab, you don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, of course not. I am stupid. I have no idea how much gold it takes for new streets and new houses and palaces and temples to Aton for this entire make-believe city. The price, Nefertiti, is the safety of Egypt.
There is no better use for gold than to build a new awakening.
May Horus still my angry tongue. What about your defenses, your army?
What army?
Exactly. What army? We have no army. It has been disbanded by order of your mighty husband, the Pharaoh.
But why?
Because that soft-headed, turn-the-other-cheek Akhenaten thinks everybody loves him at home and abroad. Because the both of you believe in love and peace, you think the rest of the world does. Now, Egypt is a great prize for the strong.
Have you tried to talk peace with them?
Certainly. Oh, the Hittites received me most cordially. King Hassi told me, let us all disarm.
You see, there is brotherly love. He wants peace.
Oh, what a child you are. What he means is we should disarm first. Thank Horus he has no idea that there's no money to pay our troops. Or perhaps he knows there are spies everywhere. Now, I am here to ask for money and permission to attack them first. I am general of an undermanned, starved-out crowd of veterans. Now, will you talk to Akhenaten? Nefertiti, by all that is sacred to you, your ancestors, your love of Egypt, help me. Help Egypt.
Queen Nefertiti, I'm very worried. The child is not back. I hope she's still with the king.
Of course she is. Her father wouldn't let her out of his sight. No harm can come to her. General Horenrab, thank you for the Persian kitten. It was thoughtful of you. If you will make yourself comfortable in the palace, I shall arrange for you and the Pharaoh to discuss your needs this afternoon.
As you wish, Your Highness. I take my leave.
Mariani, give me my blue turban. It's time for Tutmosis the sculptor to arrive.
Yes.
I wish I didn't have to go through this nonsense.
Well, why do you?
It's all my husband's idea. He wants Tutmosis to make an exact likeness, then have copies made and placed in every single temple courtyard in Egypt. I don't believe in such public notice, but my husband does.
My queen? Queen Nefertiti?
Yes. Just a moment, Tutmosis. Yes, Mariani, do come in. I have some dispatches to go out.
Your Majesty, could you not move so much?
I told you in advance, Tutmosis. I don't have the time to sit for you. If you can do your work while I do mine, we shall get along splendidly.
Well, could you hold your head a little higher? The hat, Your Majesty.
My hat? This blue turban? You asked me to wear it.
I know I did, but...
What's wrong with it?
I adore it, my queen, but there is How can I say it? Too much hat. When you bend forward over the table while you're working, all I can see is the hat and no face. And Egypt loves the face. May I suggest that, Mariani, would you be good enough to tilt Queen Nefertiti's hat a little to one side?
Oh, all right. Excuse me, Your Highness. Like so?
Mariani, hold a hand mirror before the Queen so she can see the effect. Perfect. At an angle.
What do you think, Nefertiti?
Hold the mirror still. No! I wear the royal headdress so. Straight. I do not wear it on one side. I never wear it tilted on one side.
It's up to you, my Queen, but...
Patmos, you may leave me now. I cannot pose any longer.
Oh, as you wish. I'll just cover the clay and plaster and be on my way.
Forgive me if I've been a little testy, but there is so much to do.
Oh, for me, Queen Nefertiti, you can do no wrong.
Is he gone, Mariani?
Yes.
Come over here to his sculptor's stand. I want to look at what he's been working on. Now, I remove the cloth. What do you think?
Oh, an extraordinary likeness, Nefertiti.
Is that all?
Do you wish me to be completely honest?
Yes, I do.
Your face, the expression, it's sad. Too sad.
I thought so. That is how I felt today. Tomorrow I must look happier. I knew it was true what Horemheb had said, and it haunted me. Akhenaten, intent on being a spiritual leader, was failing Egypt as a leader of the living. And I was devoting too much of myself in creating a city of sun, of life, of art and joy. We had cut ourselves off from the rest of the nation. And the truth was, Amarna could be neither Akhenaten's mausoleum or Nefertiti's Mecca, so long as swords were pointed at Egypt.
Mehu, the scribe.
What?
You're not listening to me.
No, I am, great Pharaoh. It's just that I look over there and it's a little warm in the temple center court, you understand. The sun beating right down in the middle of the day, no roof, and that little child...
That sun is our God. He is shining our way to everlasting life.
I couldn't agree with you more, King Akhenaten.
Now, where were we?
You had just said... I have built shrines and temples in honor of the gods...
Wait. Let me see that papyrus.
Oh, imbecile. Dolt. Who told you in honor of the gods? It is God. G-O-D, singular. Don't you know what our religion is?
It was an unfortunate slip.
See that the stonecutters get this much of the text. Don't touch a word.
King Akhenaten... Your daughter, Meketaton, is still kneeling where you left her to pray several hours ago.
Naturally.
But she's very little, and it is very hot on the granite altar stone.
I have asked no more of her than any pharaoh of his royal offspring. I want the prayer to Aton to be remembered, and when she knows it, she can get to her feet and run around and play.
Are you ready to meet with me now, Nefertiti?
Horemheb, what have you been doing?
I used the past hours to explore your dream city. No question. It is a city of sunlight. It outdoes anything in Thebes or Luxor. I congratulate you on your imaginative planning. The gardens, the fountains.
You like it. Now, wasn't it worth all the effect?
The whole city shows the results of much preparation and thought.
Years of it. Do you know, Horemheb, before we could put up a single building, we had to sink wells for water, dig drainage ditches, set up workshops to cut and carve all the building materials.
Nefertiti, the same care and planning you've done for this city, you should be doing to preserve Egypt from outsiders.
Don't say any more, please. I've been thinking a lot about what you said. One must face the truth.
Sunlight and idealisms are truths, but so are black clouds and danger.
You've made me realize that, Horemheb. Mariani.
Your Majesty.
Has the king returned?
No, he hasn't. Or little Meketaten.
What's the hour?
5 hours after high noon.
If the king on the mountain will not come to his queen, then Nefertiti must go to the mountain. Come, Horemheb, and you too, Mariani. We must go to the great temple and present my husband with the truth.
Scribe, have you got that down?
Every word, O Pharaoh.
Then add this. There will be 100 statues, each 13 feet high, giving us one for each temple. They shall be conveyed by barge as far north as Memphis, as far south as Aswan, and each statue shall be erected on the same day.
I believe that is the Queen approaching. She has a military man with her.
Nefertiti? What's she doing up here?
Akhenaten, I bring Horemheb.
I'm very busy now. I cannot talk to him.
You will talk to him. Akhenaten, where is our daughter?
Over there, in the center of the temple.
What do you have her doing?
She's on her knees, praying. What else should she be doing in the great temple to Aton?
Child of 5? In all this heat? Megatardon! Darling child! Oh, no! Horemheb! Someone come here! Come quickly! Help me!
A little child kneeling at prayer in the blazing sun suddenly collapses. A queen cries out in fear. A strong enemy prepares to attack a weak Egypt. Can one or any of the ancient gods intercede? Or, as we have come to know today, does not man himself decide his destiny? I shall return shortly with Act 3.
One of the sources of this story was dug up in Amarna. Clay tablets of correspondence set down by a professional scribe and still decipherable. It enabled us to recreate this account of this beautiful, adored woman of ancient Egypt, married to a man of royal lineage who rebelled against the pagan worship and human sacrifice of his ancestors. For Akhenaten was the first monarch in Egyptian history to believe in one God.
What God? What God would it permit us this?
Mother, I'll carry the poor little body back to the palace.
What? We are being punished. Aton, the sun god, is false. It was the rays of Aton which destroyed my innocent little one. Aton is evil. Do you hear me, husband? Evil. Enough. All right. Hit me, almighty Pharaoh. Slap me because my words have offended the great king. You're as evil as your God. We are betrayed.
Oh, Nefertiti, please. I couldn't help myself. Please, I cannot bear to see you cry.
Where are your tears? Your God has killed our firstborn.
Indeed.
The old gods will kill us all.
Oh, no. No, Nefertiti, it is an honor to be the first to be claimed by Aton.
You are mad. We are cursed, all of us. I shall never bear another child. The gods will never forgive me.
Little queen, there is one small secret temple. Yes, here in Amarna. For those who still believe in Amun, Isis, and Osiris. Every day prayers have gone to them.
Oh. Now I understand. No wonder Aton, the god of the sun, has taken our child from us. So there is a secret temple and secret worshippers under my very nose. Oh, they do not know what vengeance is. Now they will know. Go! The sight of you all seconds me. You're all unclean and unworthy to stand in this great temple in the sight of the sun. Go! Fall on my knees before thee, great God of the sun, and pray for your guidance. I thought we could show others by example. We would lead and they would follow. I was wrong. Forgive me. I have dishonored thy presence. I promise thee, in the name of that dear dead child, that every picture, every statue, every tomb from one end of the Nile to the other honoring a false god will disappear. All will be destroyed. Forgive me, Aton!
Akhenaten was studious to vain work
workmen with strong hands, armed with hammers and scissors, went forth into Egypt, disfiguring and destroying in a wholesale slaughter of our sacred place. I had come to realize I was married to a madman. What other explanation was there? So I moved from the royal palace to the northern palace. We would be separate, but equal. Both our orders were regarded as law.
Queen Nefertiti, I bring you good tidings. Messengers from General Coronation have arrived.
What do they say?
Victory is ours. The Hittite queen is slain.
Why must strength and death go hand in hand?
There is a visitor who begs Aton. He has been here since dawn.
Who is it?
The master scribe.
What does he wish?
He has a personal word from the Pharaoh.
The Pharaoh has asked me to tell you he loves you. He wishes you would return to the royal palace. From his heart, he will forgive you for your intentions.
He? You forgive me?
His word is your majesty.
He, the sinner incarnate, will forgive me? My only sin is to obey my father and marry Aton. I can never return to the Pharaoh's side, and you can tell him so, scribe. Never.
He is very sick, my queen.
Explain yourself.
The Pharaoh keeps to himself and sees few people. I have been with him when he would become violent and nothing was pleasing. Yes, and last night I came to him for dictation as always. And suddenly he shrieked at the top of his lungs in pain and cried and wept like a child, beating his hands about his head.
When we were first married, we suffered terrible aches of the head, but I thought they had gone away. Is there anything else, Scribe?
The Pharaoh is being poisoned. After every meal, he's sick to his stomach. The food stays not with him.
Thank you, Scribe. You may leave me.
I am honored, great queen. You have been kind to me.
Marianne?
Yes, Nefertiti?
You heard the Scribe?
I was outside listening.
What should I do? How can I reach me?
Listen to your heart.
I should return? I cannot promise him to remain, but I cannot be so uncharitable as to say that.
Nefertiti, I never thought you would come.
I was told you are not well.
Oh, nothing at all. Slight indisposition.
There are dark circles under your eyes. Do you not sleep?
I sleep perfectly.
You look thin. Thinner than I remember you.
Don't eat. If you come back to criticize, do you really think that all these months we've lived apart, two forces ruling over one kingdom, that I've been pining away for you?
Your scribe told me he wished me to return, so I have.
Yes. Well, it's because on the 21st of next year there's the annual festival tribute from our vassal nations, and I wanted you to be at my side. I've asked Sutton to make a drawing of us together.
Akhenaten, you didn't ask me back only for a festival. You do love me.
I do. I always have.
It was the memory of our love, as two dreams we sailed on the Nile to find the city truth, that made me come back to you. Husband.
Do you love me, Nefertiti?
I love the man you are. The man you have become is a stranger to me.
How am I different?
How? In so many ways. Why? I don't know.
Cannot you love me as I am, not as I was?
A woman who is once loved always wishes she could have again. But it's all different now. I am different.
What changed you?
I think when little Nefertiti died, something died within you also. I cannot blame you. You believed you were doing right to ask that small child to remain unamused to God.
You died a martyr.
I said I didn't blame you.
You do see that on the sun.
We are two people with two minds. And now, two beliefs. I returned to the royal palace, not that my love for my husband was so great, But my fears for his well-being were greater. So I did his bidding and became his wife again.
Welcome home to Nefertiti. Am I interrupting?
Certainly. No. I was just staring out the window at the sky.
The Pharaoh has asked me to sketch the two of you at the window appearances, welcoming the foreign vassals still.
Whatever happened to that likeness you were doing of me some time ago?
Oh, I hid it. When you went to the Northern Palace, the Pharaoh rampaged around here like a wild boar. I was afraid the box would be destroyed.
Did you ever complete it?
No, without you, I couldn't finish. A few more sittings could do it.
Goodness. What if one day I came to your workshop and you finished the portrait of me in my blue hat there?
You would come to my workshop?
I would. In secret. At least to offer myself to art would be something worthwhile. As I look back on it now, perhaps I was wrong. But I knew Patmos was a great, great artist. And so, for many weeks, I would go to his workshop and paint. Not only wearing the blue hat, but often, for a portrait, wearing false letters, etc.
Oh, I'm tired, Nefertiti. Do you mind if I start working on the marble today?
Standing still in one place on a little tired myself.
Yes. When you're dressed, let us sit down and have a cup of wine.
I cannot remain long, Patmos. The emissaries of our Supreme Commander have asked for an audience.
You mean horrified? He didn't come himself?
Is that so surprising?
Well, Nefertiti, there's always been talks about you and him.
There always will be talks. Some people have nothing better to do. Whether it's the foreign rats whom I've known since we were children, or you, Patmos. There'll be talk about you, if there isn't already.
Do you think so? Does it matter, dear Nefertiti?
That's what I ask myself. Since I've accepted my husband for what he is, the building of Amarna doesn't interest me anymore. Let them talk.
You have lost a daughter. Isn't that the real reason?
We called her Nefertiti. Do you know what that means, dear Patmos? Protected by Aton.
Seriously forgot.
Do you believe that?
Grandma? Don't you?
I don't let myself think about it. Time to go. You know what I haven't looked at in ages? Me, in the blue hat. Where is it? You worked on it when I first came here, then you put it away. Perhaps it will make me feel less sad.
Nefertiti, let me put my arms about you to comfort you. You're so very close to you.
Please.
Have you no personal feelings for me?
No. Not that personal. Here's the head on the corner of his head. You were right. The blue turban is an asset.
Nefertiti, my heart is filled with you.
That's me. I may be an unhappy queen, but I am still queen. And you, our servant. What is that? My left eye isn't there. It's blind. You haven't finished it?
No, everything but that eye.
Patmos, complete the head and bring it to the palace. I'd like my husband to see it.
My queen, you do not know me. My body may be your servant, but not my spirit. I shall decide who will see the portrait. I made it. It's mine, and always will be.
I command you to paint in that left eye and bring the finished work to the palace.
I shall not.
You would leave it like this. Disfigured.
You have disfigured me. If all I am to be left with is a head with one eye, so be it. Nefertiti, there has been much talk in court about other men.
You should be flattered.
It is of no matter to me whatsoever. I have no feeling for you.
And where is all that love and need you toward me so that I would return and live with you?
Gone. Perhaps it never existed.
How sad. I know my love for you did exist once. What do you wish?
We must have more children.
We have Tutankhamun and several little girls.
I want more children.
What night do you wish me to come to you?
You never asked me that when we were first married.
I did not know that my firstborn little girl would be taken from me so soon. Not to teach her about life. so closed for her. Never to hold her to my breast. Love her. Pick her up and kiss her. Kiss her. All that has been taken from me. I have been robbed of that love. You will come to me tonight, Nefertiti. Leave the past alone. What is broken cannot be mended. Akhenaten was right. What was broken could not be mended. He had tried it. But the great grandee, he could never be husband and wife again. For the first time in my life, I felt it was worthless and fruitless to go. One resolve, and only one second zone, to return to peace, and to bury my daughter now lying in some underground crypt in the past. To bury her with the old and sacred funeral rites. Until then, I would be a head of state in name only. As the sculptor had said, I would only see life as a head with one eye.
It's pure conjecture why the left eye of the famous bust of Nefertiti is missing. But archaeologists are all agreed it is missing. It was not damaged. It was never there. So we are left with a painted plaster, one-eyed beauty, and assumptions. Guesses. More when I return to tell you about the final chapter in this extraordinary story.
There are those who may believe our account is fiction. For those, I refer you to John D.S. Pendlebury, the great Egyptologist, who writes, "There is not another family in all of world history whose images are so heart-rending in their misfortune." The fifth and last episode is for next time, concluding the tale of a woman whose beautiful face is today known to millions, but whose life as a queen, mother, philosopher, and activist is only beginning to come to light. Our cast included Tammy Grimes, Russell Horton, Evie Juster, and Earl Hammond. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. And now a preview of the next exciting drama in our 5-part anthology of Egypt's Golden Age, starring Tammy Grimes.
You don't understand.
Get away from me.
Come down from the steps.
I don't want you near me. Don't you understand?
You don't know me anymore, please.
I'm standing here on the top step. Don't you come any closer.
It's your bed, dearest one. We are husband and wife.
Stay where you are. Failure is written all over you. Enemies around you, enemies at home. What is your god Aton, the sun, done for Egypt? Do you know what I have hidden behind this curtain? There.
Oh!
Look. There they are. My gods. Thoth, the standing baboon. Sobek, the crocodile. They protect me.
You traitor.
What has he done for us, your one god? Where is he?
I am Aton. I am God.
This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
Tune in tomorrow night for Part 5 on Radio Mystery Theater of Egypt's Golden Age.
The CBS Radio Mystery Theater presents... Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. An ancient Persian poet once said, "If thou hast 2 coins, spend one for bread. With the other, buy hyacinths to feed thy soul. It is that search for symmetry and soul through an underbrush of superstitions that entangled ancient Egypt that spurs our tale today. The searchers were Nefertiti, the most beautiful queen who ever lived, and her husband, the Pharaoh, Akhenaten. They were very young monarchs, idealists, visionaries, and 2,000 years before their time.
There's someone in the river. You down there. What are you doing?
Swimming!
He must be mad. Why would anyone swim in the Nile at night?
Well, I dropped him overboard. I thought he was a stowaway.
You can't leave that boy in the river. Throw him a line. Hey, you! Get out of there.
What?
Don't you know the Nile is full of crocodiles?
Our drama, The Curse of the Scarab, is based on archaeological findings and was written especially for the Mystery Theater by G. Frederick Lewis. It stars Tammy Grimes. It is sponsored in part by True Value Hardware Stores. I'll be back shortly with Act 1. Interesting thing about an idealist. If you agree with his views, he is prophetic and farsighted. If you don't, he's a romantic, an ostrich head, a castle builder. Queen Nefertiti and King Akhenaten had built such a castle. In fact, an entire city. A place where artists could live, where culture could grow, where believers in one God could worship in peace. But for the beautiful Nefertiti, this heaven had become a hell.
True, I was a queen. I had almost alone turned a barren desert into the new capital of Egypt. Amarna, we called it. Modern palatial houses, tree-lined avenues, gardens, pools. Room for 100,000 dreamers. Suddenly, the taste of achievement turned sour in my mouth. I had lost my little daughter to death and lost the love of my husband to life. Only one star, one ambition, shone for me in a very black night. I had one reason left to live.
You sent for me, Queen Nefertiti?
I've misplaced it again. I don't know why I do that. You suppose it's intentional?
You've lost the scarab necklace.
Don't tell me you found it.
I did. And I had the clasp fixed. Let me fasten it about your neck.
Of course, I don't wish to lose it. What am I saying? It was a present from General Horenrab. That time when I gave him the gold he needed to pay the soldiers. He gave it to me. It was his grandfather's. I think if anyone's been listening, they've gone away now.
Are you being spied on?
One never knows. Come closer, Mariani. The time is now.
Now?
Yes. You and I have talked about it many times. You take little Tutankhamun and my girls and keep them safe with your sisters until the day I can send for them. I'm not waiting one day longer.
Nefertiti, you're going to do it now? Leave Amarna in secret? But everybody knows you. The Pharaoh will give the alarm and you'll be brought back.
Listen to me, Mariani. I thought it all out carefully. The first month of Shemu starts tomorrow. Our first month of harvest. My husband goes by chariot to every farm until the harvests are all gathered.
That gives you 2 months. Will you go by chariot to Thebes?
Too dangerous. There are Bedouins and outcasts everywhere. I would have to take an army along to protect me.
So what do you plan?
Many years ago, the Pharaoh and I went into the hills behind Thebes to gather the Fellahin about us. To make them believe in one powerful God as we did, not the countless gods of our ancestors. We disguised ourselves as beggars. I was a beggar boy carrying a bundle of clothes. So I should become a beggar boy again and smuggle myself aboard one of the barges returning up the Nile to Thebes.
Nefertiti, I must go with you.
But what about your little sisters and my children? I couldn't have Akhenaten find them.
I have friends who will take care of all of them. They love children. No one will ever find them. But I can't let you go alone to Thebes.
Have you any idea how dangerous it could be?
I'll disguise myself as a boy also. We'll each carry a bundle of clothes.
More than that. I have vowed to bring with me the poor little body of my dear daughter, Mecatoton.
Are you sure it's wise?
It's the wish of my life to have Mecatoton buried in the consecrated ground of our ancestors in the Valley of Kings.
That takes time. The Pharaoh will learn of it.
Once I am back home in Thebes, Queen Tai, his mother, will protect me. She's never approved of her son's religion. I'm sure she'll do everything possible to see my baby is buried in honor.
Where is Mecatoton now?
It's horrible. She lies in a secret crypt in the cellar of the palace.
But to smuggle even a baby's coffin aboard a barge, how can we?
In a basket. A plain, ordinary covered basket. Mariani, stop that. Someone will hear us.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Nefertiti. I can't help it. I never thought being in the hold of a barge would be so rough.
Well, the Nile isn't rough. But every time 50 oarsmen pull at the oars together, the barge shoots forward like an arrow.
Well, whatever it is, I don't feel well.
It's being cramped down here for so many days with all those old ropes and smelly fish baskets. That doesn't help.
If I live through this, I'll never eat fish again.
I get so cramped down here on these boards. It's night now, so I can go out on deck. Stretch my legs.
Well, be careful. We don't want to be discovered.
I say to myself, if the sailors find out now, what can they do? We're almost at Thebes. They're not going to turn back to Amarna with 2 stowaways.
But what if they find the basket with Mecatoton's body?
They won't. Down here it looks like any other basket. Now you rest, Mariani, and by morning you'll see. You'll feel much better.
Hello, boy.
Oh, you startled me.
I haven't seen you on board before.
I work down below in the cellar.
What?
I mean, the hold. The hold.
You're not much of a sailor, are you? Works in the cellar. Is this your first trip?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, we're almost at Thebes. You have a family there?
Oh, yes.
I wish I did. But my old mother, she died last month. Haven't got any family anywhere now. That's what comes of being a sailor. Well, not that they need sailors with the old river freighters or nothing but elephant-sized rowboats.
You've been to sea?
Have I been to sea? If it weren't for me and sailors like me, Egypt wouldn't have a navy, I can tell you that. But I'm getting tired of life on the water.
Why don't you try something else?
Well, I would if I could, but being a sailor is the only way I can serve Queen Nefertiti. May the gods keep her well.
You're fond of the queen.
Oh, I don't know an Egyptian who isn't. She's for the working people, and we know it. I'll tell you this, lad. It's an unfortunate marriage she's made. She's worth 100 pharaohs.
How could you serve the queen on land?
Well, that's just the point. All I have is these 2 strong arms. But I'd die for her, make no mistake. Nefertiti, she's an inspiring little thing.
You're very flattering.
And you're asking an awful lot of questions, boy. You sure you're working this barge?
Of course I'm sure.
Wait till that cloud passes the moon. I'll have me a good look at you.
I think I'll have me walk around I must go now.
Not so fast.
Hey.
Of course, I don't
Let go of me.
Now, I don't have to see you to find out if you belong on this old tub. There's one sure way to tell a seaman from a stowaway.
Go on now.
You lift up the suspicious characters.
Go on now. Put me down.
That's what I'm aiming to do. And you hold him over the side.
Come on now. Let me go.
Over the Nile.
Come on.
And you put him down.
Let me go.
In it. If you belong on a boat, you'll have no trouble in the water. But if you're a stowaway, you won't be able to swim. Is that you, Tom? Oh, nib cents. Is this your watch?
All night. I like the night watch best. It's cooler. What are you looking at?
Well, there seems to be someone swimming around down there. Can you see him?
Someone in the river? Why, yeah. You down there. What are you doing?
I dropped him overboard. I thought he was a stowaway.
Well, look sharp. Let's throw him a line.
What for?
There are crocodiles down there.
You know, you're right. I see one swimming toward him right now. Hey, boy, get out of there.
What?
Head for the barge.
Oh!
There are crocodiles.
Oh!
Nefertiti, the barge isn't moving.
I know that. It could mean only one thing.
What?
By my count, we have spent 3 weeks and a day on this barge. We should be in sight of the harbor.
The harbor of thieves?
And my guess is we're waiting for the pilot to come aboard and guide us in.
I can't believe it. We're home. Oh, let me hug you. Oh, Nefertiti, you're soaking wet.
I went in swimming last night.
In the water?
Mm-hmm.
In the Nile? But there are crocodiles everywhere.
A few. But there isn't a crocodile in the Nile who can swim as fast as I can.
Did anyone see you?
Oh, yes. By the time I came out, I had quite an audience.
Oh, you really have a lot of nerve, Nefertiti.
It's been too long since I rode horseback or swam. I used to love sports before I became queen. It's not good for anyone to spend their lives sitting in a golden chair. I'm going to change all that.
Well, I know you will. You're the one woman who can do anything once you make up your mind to it.
When we pull into the dock in Thebes, the hardest thing I've ever had to do is before us.
You mean carrying that basket?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's a burden I wouldn't wish on a single Egyptian mother. But it must be done, or I'd never, ever be able to sleep peacefully again.
We today cannot imagine the importance of the afterlife as felt by the ancient Egyptians. An Egyptian anointed and protected the dead to ensure continuing life in eternity. That is why he surrounded the deceased with what he enjoyed on earth, so that the dead could continue the same existence in afterlife. I shall return shortly with Act 2. Try to place yourself in the dilemma that faced Nefertiti. Your daughter is embalmed, but has received no sacred burial rites. Your children are hidden somewhere in the city you have escaped from. Your husband, to put it mildly, is a religious fanatic. He also happens to be the most powerful man in Egypt. Only courage stands between you and the collapse of your entire future. You have taken refuge with the Queen Mother, your mother-in-law, in whose hands lies your safety.
And so, Queen Tai, I had to escape from Amarna. You have no idea how strange your son has become. Sacrilege after sacrilege. Not the least of which was denying Aton a proper Egyptian funeral. That I could not have. I want her there, waiting for me in eternity when I die and arrive.
Oh, my poor child.
I wanted to believe in one God. I thought it made so much more sense than a separate God for every human effort. But when I saw how this belief, how imbalanced it made Akhenaten's mind, the way he acted, I had to escape with my child. We must have the proper burial before he finds out.
You're afraid Akhenaten will come here to Thebes,
And try to stop it? Yes, I do. How long will it take, Queen Mother, to prepare the sacred ceremonies? Is there time to dig a tomb in the Valley of Kings?
Akhenaten will be taken to the Valley of the Queens, into a burial chamber I have built for myself. What's that? Don't be frightened. It's a signal which I must answer. I'll go myself and see what it is. Yes? What are you doing here?
The palace guards brought me. They said this is where I should go.
Do you have a message?
Why, I do have something, my lady, but I want to be sure it goes into the right hands. The soldier said it was valuable.
Please give it to me.
Well, how do I know I'm giving what I have to the right party?
I am Queen Ty.
Oh, may the earth swallow me 1,000 pardons. I had no idea. The Queen Mother herself. I prostrate myself before you.
Get up. We don't do that here.
I'm a poor seaman. I meant no harm.
Neither do I. Now get on your feet.
Thank you. I could see by the carving it had a royal crest, so I came here. Came to the gate, and the chief of the palace guard said he recognized it.
It? What? Give it to me.
Well, this scarab on a necklace. I had no idea. It's not my fault.
May I have the scarab necklace, please?
Oh, yes, please. Take it. I don't want it.
Where did you say you found it?
Oh, on board a barge. Well, we came from Amarna. I'm a poor seaman. I meant no harm.
What is it, Queen Mother? Oh, it's you.
Well, have I done something wrong without knowing it? I'm not a thief. I'm a loyal subject of the Pharaoh and Queen Nefertiti.
He has brought this necklace. I don't know why the guards escorted him to our door.
May I see it? The scarab. Queen Ty, this was given to me by General Hornrab. The guards must have recognized it. That's why this man was given safe conduct. Do you want a reward?
Oh, no, nothing. I had no intention of it. I knew it was valuable, but money, I wouldn't think of it. Just let me go, miss.
Do you know you are speaking to Queen Nefertiti?
Oh, no. I'm done for.
Your name is Ta. You are a seaman. You worked in a barge that arrived in Thebes from Amarna.
Oh, Your Highness, you are blessed with a godlike sight.
You are tired of sailing on river barges. You would like to work on land. Your mother has died.
Everything. She knows everything about me.
You will report to the commander of the palace guard and tell him the queen would like you to be her personal bodyguard.
Oh, come, child. What do you know about this ruffian sailor?
I know he is honest and faithful to the queen. And if he so much as catches any unauthorized person on the queen's property, he would throw them into the Nile, even if the Nile were filled with crocodiles. I don't think the Tar realized I was the stowaway he gave a bath to in the Nile. He was faithful, and he was useful during the hasty preparation of Aton's funeral. Finally, the day came. The procession of mourners walked behind Queen Ty and myself, and we followed the tiny little coffin down the steep stairs into the tomb. I cannot bear this, Queen Ty. My eyes are so filled. I am so very sad. I wish I could join my daughter.
Nefertiti, stop that. You have Tutankhamun, you have daughters, you have much to live for.
I know that for 18 dynasties we have believed that death was only the first step to a wonderful transformation. But supposing it's not the passage to the true eternal life, supposing Aton is reborn, she will be all alone. I'm here and she's... How could she be happy there?
That is why her toys and her dolls and her little ebony and ivory chair, all the things she loved, are all being placed with her.
What if we're mistaken and it's not true? And when I die, I shan't see her again.
You ask too many foolish questions, Nefertiti.
I wish Akhenaten were here. He loved her once.
Akhenaten. He'd never allow this. We're heretics in his eyes. May the gods spare him when it is his time. We are now in front of the golden doors to the sepulchre.
Did they bring the cornflowers and raisins? She loved raisins.
Of course they did. Nefertiti, repeat after me. You will live again, Aton.
You will live again, Aton.
You will live forever, Meketaten. You will live forever, Meketaten. You will remain young as you are forever and ever. You will remain young as you are forever and ever. We passed through the golden doors into the corridor which would lead us to my daughter's final resting place. All her toys and clothes and dolls and favorite foods and fruits and flowers were placed along the corridor. Behind us, guarding, was Tar, the sailor.
Where are you going?
I am a priest, you fool. I have indulgences for sale.
You cannot pass. I'm the Queen's bodyguard.
It's just the man I want to see.
You're a priest? Carrying that box around your neck like a street vendor selling figs and dates?
Oh, you know nothing about funeral ceremonies, bodyguard. I can see that. In this box, I have indulgences for sale.
In what? Well, what are they?
Indulgences guaranteed to place the hand of the deceased into the hands of Osiris. Take a look.
Those clay figures can do that?
Very helpful. I'll make you a good price for a dozen. Less than a dozen is hardly worthwhile. It's not effective. A waste of your gold. Your mistress will appreciate it, I guarantee you.
Oh, I don't know anything about indulgences. All I know is no one is allowed in there. Now, you'd better go.
Meketaten's coffin was placed in the inner chamber, the figurines of the protective gods at each corner. It had all been such a rush. The artist was still painting the walls with the story of Meketaten's journey through the underworld to her final resurrection. Queen Ti and I stood there crying, and suddenly the door was thrust open.
Nefertiti!
Oh.
Mother! What is this charade?
Nothing. Son, restrain your soul.
Nefertiti, may you be accursed. May you be barren for the rest of your days. May you suffer the eternal damnation of the only true God, Aton, the sun.
Stop that.
Mourners, you call yourselves professional weepers, the lot of you. Miserable beetles all praying to crocodiles and dogs, monkeys, cows, and snakes. Defiling my daughter, Meketaten, defiling her, the high priestess of Aton.
Indulgences for sale. Oh, so you still here, bodyguard? What's happening inside the burial shrine? I hear all kinds of loud noises.
Oh, I have no idea. Haven't you sold all those trinkets yet?
Trinkets? You watch that sacrilegious tongue of yours.
You, painter or artist, whatever you call yourself, what is all that nonsense you're daubing on the walls? Give me those paints. I'll paint you the truth. There! Smashed on the wall. Reds, greens, blues, yellows. Those smears are what I think of your gods.
Nothing. You're killing Nefertiti. Look at her face. It is white.
Oh, Mother, how could you do this? I remember those grotesque demons around my father's deathbed, and now to see these monstrosities again. And this mockery assails my soul. Give me those cheap clay statues. I grind you to the ground. You, Osiris. This one, too. Anubis the dog. Lie on the ground, Anubis, where dogs belong.
He has gone mad.
How can you believe, too, modern Egyptian women, that these symbols mean anything?
Nothing.
Do you think the dark powers of the netherworld will be frightened by these playthings? How can you be so stupid to think this primitive magic will open up the gates of life after death? Open that door! Priest! Come in here. You, with that box about your neck.
Me? Did you call me? You called for a priest. I can help.
Yes, priest. Let me hear some mumbo-jumbo.
Unto the great God we deliver this child in peace, in peace, in peace.
Tell me, how much gold are you charging, priest, for a safe ticket to eternity? Give me that box of rubbish. Off with it. I'll show you what it's worth. That's what your indulgence are fit for. Mud, dirt, the ground.
What are you doing, Akhenaten? Don't touch that coffin.
I am taking the flesh of my flesh. The body of Megatotun, High Priestess of Aton, away from this place. Stand aside, all of you.
No.
In her honor, I lift high this golden box with this golden child. On the sacred body of my own flesh and blood, I say to you all, you are doomed. There is only one God, the giver of life and the taker of life. I shall now bring the remains of this child back to the city of truth, Amarna, and bury her in the eternal house of Aton, the sun, free of demons, ghosts, dolls, and superstitions. And you, my loyal, noble wife, robber of bodies, defiler of Aton, you will be placed in chains like a common foreign captive slave and brought back to the city of truth for the world to mock.
It mattered little to me how I was dealt with. I vowed. When I saw the child's father trampling on the garlands of mandrakes and cornflowers, desecrating my daughter's voyage to eternity, I vowed that for 2 years I would go into mourning. I would wear coarse sacking. I would scatter dirt on my head. And only when my grief was paid for would I once again look up into the sky.
That cry from a mother who lived thousands of years ago in an ancient culture is the same as any mother's lament over a lost child today. Centuries have passed. Statues have crumbled. The desert sand has covered much of what dynasties of Egyptians had built. But sadness, courage, and love still remain. I shall return shortly with Act 3. The Egyptian word for stone markers on which ancient history is written is stele. I'll paraphrase 2 stele found in Amarna. And there was sadness in the temples of the gods and goddesses, from the Elephantine to the Delta marshes. Queen Nefertiti was kept a prisoner. She made no appearances among her people. The Pharaoh Akhenaten led the court of Amarna in singing hymns to Aton, to which I shall add, they sang hymns while enemies cut off pieces of the land and Egypt bled away.
I tried to wipe the sad memories of Megatotun from my mind, but the other day I came across some little sandals I had been making her of woven glass beads, the strap to look like a lotus flower. I had never finished them while my dear one was alive. But I did have one affection left in the world. Horenrab, commander of our armies. It was a blessed day when he returned to my life.
So, this is where Queen Nefertiti lives.
Where she is imprisoned.
It is a big room. And up there, 5 steps up, I see the royal bed.
I sleep there when I sleep.
With the seal of the sun god on the ceiling.
At the Pharaoh's insistence.
And how is Akhenaten?
He lives in a world of his own. But so do I. Behind the curtains next to the bed, I have our real gods.
There's a plaster portrait I always loved. The famous head and shoulders of Queen Nefertiti in her royal blue headdress.
Would you believe it? Tutmus the sculptor is still working on it. He's never satisfied.
I should be satisfied to own such a portrait.
Tutmus is the only one who hasn't deserted me. Akhenaten lets him come occasionally to work on it. That's why the plaster and the colors and the palette knife are on his stand.
Oh, I see you still have my scarab.
I wear it for luck.
Nefertiti,
I have come to tell you that the Pharaoh must die. He is killing Egypt by neglect, and I cannot stand by any longer and watch it expire a little every day and do nothing.
I have no feeling for Akhenaten.
I'm glad. There is no one else who can get close to him but you. So, it is you must do it.
I couldn't.
Then I will. But when I do, I'll need your help.
How can you ask me to be a part of this? My own husband.
Loyalty after what he's done to you? Dragging you through the streets in chains. Oh, I know it was 2 years ago, but never in the history of all Egypt has anyone of royal blood been treated like a cheap trophy of war. When does Akhenaten visit?
No set times, but I don't expect him today.
Nefertiti, you are still queen of our people. They are being murdered in Usalim, in Lebanon, in Palestine. The lands surrounding us have all been lost to the enemy. It's too late to bring back to life the hundreds of thousands who have died, but it is not too late to rid the world of an insane Pharaoh.
Who sent you here?
500,000 people who looked to Amarna for help, and who died waiting.
I cannot.
Then I shall have to do it alone. I believe the Pharaoh is arriving.
I'm very afraid.
Good afternoon, my dear. I've asked Tutmos to join us shortly. We will have some pictures made. How are you, my dear?
Good day, Pharaoh Akhenaten.
Ah, I know you. What are you doing in Amarna? Why aren't you back in Thebes with the palace guard?
My king, do you know that all the provinces of Egypt have been lost? Everything gained by your father, Amenhotep, and his father before him?
There have been whispers, Nefertiti. I don't like whispers. So I've asked Tutmos to sketch some pictures showing how happily the House of Aton rules. You and I together. He'll be here in a moment.
My king, have you heard me?
Then we'll have these new drawings copied on temple walls and public places all over the land.
You, sir, you are interrupting me. Of course I heard you. I know all about that. Every day I receive a letter from some prince or governor asking for this, asking for that. Troubles, invasions. Who believes that? They want our gold.
You knew. You've known all along?
I never believed a single clay tablet.
Where is that Tutmos?
You're spending too much time fooling around with that head of you, Nefertiti, and that silly blue hat. Hornab, you may leave us. Go back to your army.
Egypt has no army. In 2 months, maybe less, the entire Nile and maybe Hittite. Do you believe that?
King Hatti wouldn't dare.
You have forgotten. King Hatti is dead. His son is king and ruthless.
They know Egypt is a land of peace and harmony. They'd have nothing to gain.
I can't stand to hear you talk such nonsense. Akhenaten, don't be a fool. The general could still organize an army if you'd let him. Stupid. Stupid.
You dare talk to me, your god, like that?
Yes.
You take your hands off me, Hornab.
I am holding your arm so long as it is raised against the queen. Put it down.
How dare you? General, you will go down into the courtyard and stand by the pool where I can see you from this window. You will stand at attention.
I shall be there, Pharaoh.
Let go of me.
Why do you squirm so? There. I release you. I'd say this figure Tutmos did of you could be improved on.
Don't you dare touch it.
The shoulders are much too big for the head. Suppose we cut a bit off.
Stop it! What are you doing? You're crazy.
And suppose we cut down the other shoulder to make it even.
You are a destroyer. I should have known. Give me that knife. You leave that beautiful thing alone. Coward. Coward.
Get off the floor. You're not hurt. Now, kneel.
No.
Kneel, I say. better. God forgives you.
God? What God? How would you know if he forgives anybody? You can't even make the ignorant and superstitious believe, with all your gold discs on the altars of temples, with all your destruction of statues of the great pharaohs. The Fellahin once threw stones at you. Now it's hate. Egypt hates you, Akhenaten.
Those priests in Thebes deserve what they got. Empty treasuries. I didn't destroy statues. I tore down false gods. And if the priests hate me, they hate the truth.
The truth as you see it. What about the Egyptian who lives now? You can't destroy him, deface, or chip away what's in his heart. That's where I carry the old gods. Inside. And so do they.
How do you know? You're confined to the palace. Amarna is filled with those who believe in the one sun God. Fine people come here from all over to reject superstition.
You really believe that? Your one God is the joke of the city. Superstition. Why, you're more superstitious than the most ignorant camel driver. Did I say you were hated? Egypt is laughing at you.
Be quiet!
Did you enjoy slapping my face? Did your God tell you to do that, coward? The way he told you to murder our daughter, force a 6-year-old to burn to death under the sun? I will never forgive you for that if I live to be 1,000 years.
Nefertiti, don't... You don't understand.
Get away from me.
Come down from the steps.
I don't want you near me. Don't you understand?
You don't know me anymore, please.
I'm standing here on the top step. Don't you come any closer.
It's your bed, dearest one. We are husband and wife.
Stay where you are. Fear is written all over you. Enemies around you, enemies at home. What is your god Aton, the sun, done for Egypt? Have hidden behind this curtain. There. Oh! Look. There they are. My gods. Thoth, the standing baboon. Sobek, the crocodile. They protect me.
You traitor.
And what has he done for us, your one god? Where is he?
I am Aton. I am God. I am God of the universe.
I didn't see the palette knife Akhenaten still held in his hand. He came up the steps towards me, trying to get at me. Somehow it caught in the curtain. He turned and stumbled down the steps. He fell on the palette knife and didn't rise. The gods had struck him down. He was lying face down. I turned him on his back and pulled the knife out. I tried to stop the blood. It wouldn't stop. And then I fainted.
Nefertiti. Nefertiti, are you all right? Are you all right now?
Yes.
I heard you cry out as I came in. I found his body and carried it outside. Here, let me wipe the blood from these steps.
What?
You had fainted. The Pharaoh breathes no more.
No more.
All is taken care of. In a few minutes, they will find the Pharaoh below with a strangled soldier beside him. I took the knife from you and put it in the soldier's hands. I will tell them I found the Pharaoh stabbed, killed, found his murderer, and avenged the death.
The next moments were a nightmare. I began to shake with a chill that would not stop. Hornrab lifted me to my feet, and then he deliberately kissed me hard on the lips. I have never had such a sick feeling of revulsion in my entire life. I slapped him and beat my fists on him. And then he held me away from him. I was helpless and horrified.
Egypt, in the hands of weaklings and women. But that will change. Oh, yes. Wipe your lips. You will never remove my mouth, Nefertiti. Don't tell me you loved him. You never loved him.
Low creature. Son of a tailor.
Now that your hand is steady with a knife, I am not good enough for you.
You were never.
No. You threw yourself at me. You always have. Oh, thank you, Horemheb. I shall always wear your scarab. I could buy more women than you in a Nubian market for half the money. Keep the scarab in memory of what you will never have. A man. I go now to protect your name. My last service to Queen Nefertiti of all Egypt.
And so I, Nefertiti, Queen of all Egypt, stood alone to rule my people. I had survived death. I had survived treachery. I had survived love. There will be many who come after who will say I was willful, headstrong, selfish, and perhaps even foolish. But none but the gods will know the strength and the love in my heart was for one deity alone. Egypt.
We close now the golden doors on that golden age and hope these extraordinary people have come alive for you. Like the alabaster vases unearthed from the Pharaoh's tombs today, 30 centuries later, the luster remains. The splendor of those ageless dynasties will never dim or die. I shall return shortly. Not often do we get the chance to dramatize a conflict of ideologies set against a blazing background of power and wealth. Were it not for the triumphant world tour of Egyptian artifacts, these ancients, like a cavalcade of Rip Van Winkles, might have gone on slumbering forever. True, there were always interested experts and students of Egypt, but today, this unusual land and life has awakened everyone. Our cast included Tammy Grimes, Russell Horton, Evie Juster, and Earl Hammond. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. And now, a preview of our next tale.
I guess this was in the back of my mind ever since I first saw your face.
What was?
How would you like to be Mr. Leo Winters?
Oh, no way. I like being Al Grissom.
Don't you see how easy it would be to take his place?
Yeah, fine, but what happens to him?
Well, that's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the problem.
I thought maybe you could think of a way out.
Yeah, I can, but I don't like it.
Try it on me.
No, I think you've already tried it on, and you like it.
Maybe.
Not maybe, positively. That's what you wanted to lay on me when you said you wanted to talk.
You're not only sexy, but you're smart.
Yeah, you bet. Smart enough to stay away from murder.
Well, who said anything about murder?
I did, my lovely. I did. I said murder.
This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
Tomorrow night on the Radio Mystery Theater, immediately after the 8 o'clock news, for Dead Ringer.